Get you next time, Gadget.
I couldn't quite sync up the turning around, but this is my new chair from Secret Labs. Thank you, Secret Labs. I'll tell you about that later in the week. But I do have a new chair. Figured I'd change it up, so we got a little different. Wow, that was the best episode of Hot Dragon, of Hot House of the whatever it was called. Woo, it's a little. So it was a little hot. The dragon was hot tonight. Yeah. All right. So that was the best episode of House of the Dragon that we have seen. The first three episodes were exciting, but you can see from tonight's episode that really we were just setting the table so that we could set it on fire with gasoline and matches and hormones. And that's the whole thing about trying to take young people and ask them to act like responsible high lords and ladies. And, Viserys can talk about the politics and he can wave the runic knife around. But at the end of the day, 18-year-old's gonna 18-year-old. So lots to talk about, lots of gossip. Lots of dirt, lots of heat. Wow, yeah, that was a good one. And I will be joined by my co-host momentarily, Greyways Tim and Girl Nettles. And I just want to welcome you all to the post-game show. We know you have options. Thank you for choosing us. Click like and subscribe. And in case you missed it, I made a video on Saturday called Danny is the Hero. No one wants to talk about that right now, but Danny is the hero, so check that video out if you missed it. Wowzer. Okay, so we've got, where to start? We got some good liars this week. Otto and Rhaenyra kind of competing for best liar. We got Daemon absolutely going rogue prince status. Little Mysaria reveal. Otto Hightower's dismissal. And I thought it was very interesting. You got to see how the King's Landing, royal family cleans up the dirt. This was very fascinating. This is exactly the kind of stuff that A Song of Ice and Fire thrives on. Just these sort of politics, intrigue. And it's really interesting. Yeah, the Tansy Tea. So the Tansy Tea has been a plot point a bunch of times, but never in real time. It's always a memory or a story. So we have some real-time Tansy tea. And one of my favorite parts about it is how Viserys was like, the truth doesn't matter, Rhaenyra. And I'm just like, oh, shout out to Fire and Blood. And the whole unreliable narrator concept and the very idea of we don't know. Because the whole point of George writing Fire and Blood from the Maester's point of view as an unreliable narrator, some of that is to sow the seeds of the Maester conspiracy and the Maester bias. And by the way, did I go live on the right stream today? Look, I did, right? Last time I went live on a random stream, even though I had scheduled a different one. But the point of the unreliable narrator is that that's the view that everyone has of history, of course. When we look back and we read our history books, we get this story, and some of them are facts that are beyond debate, but a lot of the context is certainly up for debate, and sometimes context can change everything about a fact. So George is having fun with the idea that we never really know what happened in the past. And you see Viserys talking about that in real time. So this is really good. I felt like it was a little, not fourth wall breaking, but definitely like a nod to the idea of Fire and Blood being told from the unreliable narrator point of view. I don't have my chat I'm sorry, chat. There you are. Sorry, guys. You guys thought I was so into myself that I wasn't even going to put anything else up on the screen. No guests, no chat, no pic, just me, just glorious me. That's not at all. And by the way, in case you're new to the channel and you're wondering why I wear those glasses, the opaque ones when I do videos, it's not because I think I'm some sort of cool guy. It's actually because I like to script my produced videos. And I really am not good at making it look like I'm not reading. So it'll be like typewriter eyes the whole time. I'm also, because I have ADHD, I'm not very good at doing the thing where I look at a line of script and sort of memorize it and then speak it and then look at another line and memorize it. You guys don't want to hear about this. But in any case, that's why I wear the glasses. It's so I can read the scripts and be animated and lively and be very comfortable when I perform. So here's me. I have eyes. I don't have like mouths for eyes. Somebody was joking about the Corinthian or something, and he's got like mouths behind. I haven't seen that, so I don't know what that's about. In any case, wow. Okay, let me bring my two guests on here. Now that I've talked myself in a nice little circle and we're all excited, we'll go with. I'll bring in Nettles to my left and Tim to my right. Hey.
That was so boring. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it's very subtle. We're gonna have to pick through the subtlety in this one to tease out
Tim, were you sipping that tea? Is that what that was?
I think that was tea.
I always have a cup of tea ready because we talk so much. And once that ending scene happened, I was looking at it thinking, is this in poor taste? No, this is actually in perfect taste. This is in perfect taste.
Oh gosh. Well, it works on two levels because obviously Rhaenyra did get the moon tea at the end, but there's also just the mad tea that's being sipped and served here. Wow. I think that, Nettles fill me in. I'm one of the olds. That has something to do with, you sip tea when you're like sitting back and watching two people fight and go at it, right? And you're just like, look at that.
You're the silent observer. You know everything going on. You know about the brother and the backstory and everything. That's what sipping tea.
Yeah, so and the King's Landing, the Red Keep is ideal for sipping tea discreetly because if we've got the passageways. I loved that they got into that, the Maegor's hidden passageways that are so important to Varys in the current plot line, and of course, Jaime eventually goes down there looking for Tyrion and all that. So we see Rhaenyra discover the hidden panel behind the lizard sex orgy or whatever was painted on. Who knows? I mean, odds are it was a lizard sex orgy if it was a fresco in the Red Keep. But that was cool. I like the passageways. Yeah,
because Nettles, you would message
us. How did
us.
Daemon learn about them?
Oh well, Daemon would know about. He just would know about them. I don't know. I mean, he's just if he doesn't know, then nobody knows, right?
Okay, I'll take it.
Nettles, you had messaged us before the stream, we need to talk about the tapestries. So I was looking out for them, and then you see that it's right above Allison's bed, and I'm like, girl, you sleep under that.
There's a few in each room around the castle, and I think I saw someone saying that they were Maegor's.
Yeah, Maegor. Yeah, that's the story. In case you don't know, Maegor is the one who completed the Red Keep. Aegon started King's Landing in general. Maegor completed the Red Keep. He had all these hidden passageways put in, and then he killed every single stonemason that worked on it so that no one would know the secret except for the blood of the dragon. So it's probably on a different knife, the secret. They put all their secrets on cutlery. That's the thing.
Knives and curtains and ribbons. I don't know.
Yeah, who actually did send that moon tea? Well, I guess it would have been Viserys because Otto just got fired. You're fired.
But it also seems like Viserys has experience in this. Daemon said that they fucked their way throughout Flea Bottom or whatever. So that means he's probably had to send moon tea to some little girlfriends at age 15. He
knows the drill. And there was a lot of oh my, so there was that one. Viserys used to run through the brothels with Daemon. So he knows what's up with so that means as soon as he started hearing the story from Otto, he knows the whole thing is true. But he was putting on to Otto. Viserys was actually playing politics this week, you guys. He wasn't being incompetent. This is good.
I love him more and more every week. I'm sorry.
Viserys had kind of a good week. What's wrong, Minty? Is there I'm just looking. I want to make sure there's no we got sound. Is everything good? Okay, sorry. I think I was
Carl Karsnark says making the 8. Listen, Viserys and Daemon were out here.
Yeah, so okay. Well, that was a kind of a creepy juxtaposition. Alicent with the do your duty fuck, and then, Daemon with the I'm going to screw up the whole kingdom fuck. So, of course, now Did Damon? We should stop using the F word. Did Damon and I should stop using the F word. Did Damon Rhaenyra actually? It was hard to see. It was so dark. I thought the Night King was going to come flying out with a dragon or something. It was so dark. Did they actually?
Didn't.
They didn't.
It was just the tip.
Okay.
But for a while, I was like, dang, Rhaenyra, I'm like, you're just going to give it up just like that? All of it? I was like, wow. But
Well,
then I knew it because Damon was just teaching her a lesson, I feel like, about wants and desires and like all like 0 to 100, all the levels of it. So he was teaching her blue balls as well. It's part of the lesson plan.
That kind of makes. I was wondering why he just pieced out. I think you might be right about that. Like maybe
And he loves the game. He's a dragon. You
Yeah.
can't bring him the food already dead. He has to hunt it and burn it and then eat it. Like,
Or
hey,
people
this is a
say,
long
did
game
Damon?
for Damon.
Did Damon have a hard time getting it up? Is that what happened?
Y'all stop
It would-
saying that. Y'all are been saying that.
It's
ever
vile
since episode
calumnies.
1.
I mean, it would be the second time it's happened since he had that moment with Mysaria.
That's true. This could be a plot thread. That'll be my Wednesday video.
But what is
Is
he
Damon
sick
impotent?
with? I know we're like jumping everywhere. What is he sick with?
Who, Damon?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just hungover as
Oh
all
yeah,
hell.
he was hungover. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't anything more serious? Okay.
No, he was way hungover. Now,
Why did he say, "Am I your prisoner?" to her? It seemed like when she's mad at him, she can.
she probably scooped him up out of wherever he collapsed and passed out. That's what I'm guessing, because of course we found out the revelation that Mysaria is informing to Otto and making that coin. So this is interesting how they developed this with Mysaria. It's like she tried to escape her old life by essentially allying herself with Damon, and you could see how Damon sort of betrayed her trust and that she felt that way. So then now 4 years later, 3 years later, we find out she's turned into the White Worm now, and she is an informant, extraordinaire with a line to Otto. So what did you think of that revelation, guys? That one got me.
It was all right.
Tim?
I was like, okay, yeah, I could see it coming.
I didn't. That took me. I never see anything coming.
No, like when they said the White Worm, I mean, like we knew it was Mysaria. Like if you read the book, like we knew Mysaria was coming, and then to see her in the white dress, it's like, oh, okay. It seems like in the years that Damon and Corlys have been off warring, well, obviously she wasn't just sitting around on idle hands. She was working her way up, and it seems like, yeah, she's gotten to that position. She might be the official Master of Whispers at this point.
And Otto's good at his job. He would have an informant like Mysaria on his payroll. He might have sought her out. But didn't you think it was weird that Damon like immediately takes his covering off and reveals Rhaenyra's hair? Like in the most dangerous place for her to be revealed at? Like when they're walking in the streets, whatever. But now that she's in a seedy brothel, that's when you take off y'all's disguises. So it makes me... Damon did on purpose.
Yeah, sorry, I was finishing. I'm a terrible interrupter, Nettles. Just keep talking. If I just start to...
I interrupt more than you. Listen.
If I do a one-word interrupt, just keep going. Don't yield unless I like really am coming hard with the point there. But
no, that was the lead-in. Like, it just seemed like he did it on purpose because why reveal her then?
No, I was just going to say the same thing, actually. I think that's... you could see, because when Viserys had him on the floor, he's barely like... I mean, he's so foggy and half awake, but he had that ready to go. Like, oh, give her to me. And then he kept going with it. Like, that was the plan. He wanted to create those rumors, and that's pretty fucked to do that to his niece. It's very Damon, but
he
it's...
knows that she loves him. He won't see it as fucked. He'll see it as like she's literally not picking anyone else in 4 years, waiting for me.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and you could see that they were showing you that when like they cut directly from Rhaenyra talking about how not thrilled she is with all of her suitors, and then there comes Damon on a dragon flying by, and it's like, oh well.
The first scene in this episode is her touching the necklace that he gave her.
For sure.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be an I Love Damon episode. And it was an I Love Damon episode. And let me say right here and right now, you guys laughed at me last week because I said this episode is about the narrow sea, the narrow part of a woman. And what was this episode about? How many sex scenes? Y'all even brought on Allison and the Sarah sex scene because someone was saying, "Oh, I hope I don't see it," and I'm like, soon we'll see it now because as soon as you say you don't want something, the world of Ice and Fire will give it to you.
So Tim, what do you think about what they did with Massaria? And props to you, Nettles. You did call it, and yeah. What did
Thank you.
So Tim,
That's
what
all
did
I
you?
want.
I liked the Mysaria change because it gives her more agency as far as like she tried one thing and it didn't work, and it just shows you like she's not really in love with Damon. You know, like she's
No.
looking out for herself, which is what she should be doing. So I liked the change. What did you think?
Well, first, I just want to say, like, Nettles, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're not on vacation for this specific episode because with all these sex scenes, if it was just me and Dave talking about it, we need a woman's perspective on this stuff tonight. But
I
as
have
to
a poison perspective, but yes, I'm here. I do what I can for the people.
as to your question, Dave, yeah, I love what they're doing. I love that she's embracing this role of even if it's not official yet, that she is kind of at least fulfilling the role of Master of Whispers. And we see like she has like her own little birds because it's that little kid who's the one who rats everyone out. But it also shows that they're also still not getting the full story, because even though they go around telling this information about Rhaenyra being seen with Daemon, nobody gets the full story that, yeah, she did have sex that night, but not with Daemon, but with Kristen Cole. Nobody hears that part. So what we get is like this long game of telephone and half-truths where no one's getting the full story.
So I love.
You know, I was just about to say that the only thing is the Kristen Cole thing really messed up Damon's plan.
So hold
Because
on before we get to the Kristen Cole thing, because I've got like two thoughts in my head and we're gonna lose them. So one, super chat, somebody mentioned the director said Daemon was impotent because he couldn't go through with despoiling Rhaenyra. So he had some level of conscience, supposedly, or something. I don't know what, but he couldn't go through with it. So sorry, Nettle. Sorry to ruin your fantasy of Daemon as this perfect rogue prince or whatever. But yeah, he's got issues. Couldn't get it up twice now. So got to get those blue chews, Daemon. He needs the blue chew.
Okay, what was the second thing?
The second thing was and no, that's not impotence, of course. That's true. That's not the same. That's a mental, yeah. So I'm mostly Minty. I'm trying to get a rise out of Nettles. It was working too. The other thing was oh god, I forget. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, was it about Daemon Viserys?
It was about
Kristen Cole brothel, Massaria.
So I love the fact that, like Tim was saying, the real thing that happened was that she slept with Sir Kristen, which we need to talk about in a second. But what I was trying to say was that I love the fact that it's Sir Kristen is one of the people dragging Daemon in front of Viserys, like, "Oh, you're in trouble, dickwad," and he's all like, that just shows you like.
That's real life. That's how it is.
Like you were saying with the game of telephone, Tim, where it's like everyone has different versions of the truth. And the real truth is that the guy who actually slept with Rhaenyra is throwing Daemon down on the floor and walking away, and no one knows anything. So
in his white cloak.
So now let's talk about the Kristen scene, because that was gut-wrenching. I felt so bad. I mean, I felt bad for Sir Kristen until he went with it. Then it's his fault. But like looking at the cloak and what it means to him, he's the people's champion. He doesn't know he doesn't know the wiles and temptations of these princesses from King's Landing. He's being led astray, and now he's in it. His virtue is gone. It's all downhill from here. Who knows what he could do? This was a very sad scene for me, I guess, is my real serious point watching that.
So let me ask you guys a question. Did you guys think he would go through with it? Like before it was apparent, like with that knock.
I kept waiting for him to break it off, but then I realized, no, he's going to do it and then feel really guilty and it's going to consume him. That's the story probably, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it going either way, because they gave us a quick moment with Harwin being out there to let us know that, like, oh yeah, Harry Strong is in the area, at least if she gets, blue balled again, or whatever the female equivalent of blue balled is.
It means it's just shrugging.
I didn't see her win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the one that grabbed her, and he recognized her as princess. And then she looked at him and she was like, "Don't give up the game." And then he was like, "All right, boy, next time I'll get you."
Oh, that was Harwin?
That was
Yeah,
Harwin.
yeah. When she was in the streets with that hat, doing that little
Okay. I just missed that was Harwin. I didn't recognize him.
Well, she said Sir Harwin, and then he looks at her and she goes, "Princess." So that's how we knew. Like,
okay. So that's all right.
But Tim, so did you think that he was going to go through with it? I didn't hear your answer.
Oh, I said I saw it going either way. Like I didn't. I was like David said, I was waiting for him to be like, "Stop! No, I can't do this," and then her to be like left frustrated again because this is coming after Damon had already left her, wanting, and because we got that moment with Sir Harwin, I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is when she's been." Rebuffed twice by two different guys. Maybe this is when she jumps to Harwin. But no, then he did go through with it. And because he did have a whole bunch of moments where he was like stopping and staring at his cloak and realizing like, nah, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing it. But then eventually he just starts taking off and then he starts taking off more of his clothes, her clothes. Then it becomes, all right, never mind. Fuck it. Why do I have to wear so many layers? God damn it.
It was a lot of layers. No, I was surprised. I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he was going to be like, "No, princess, you did so much for me." Like that, almost that same speech in the woods. I thought he would break it down like that. Like, you did too much for me. I can't do it. But surprises me again. Come on, George. Always bringing the surprises.
So for those of you who know Fire and Blood, and, this was one of the biggest things that we were waiting to see how they would play it, because the Fire and Blood version of this incident is completely tangled in rumors, as if we were somebody on the streets of King's Landing hearing about this like weeks later. So I really like how they split the difference with this. I think it was pretty clever. I think it was true to everyone's character. And I think... And don't take me out of context, but in a sense, guys, and I like Rhaenyra, but a monster was born this evening. I mean,
what?
Yeah,
Why?
because
Why do you think that?
Daemon. Well, it's Daemon's fault. He was the midwife, so let's say that first of all. But what he was telling her, like, "Oh, you can do what you want," and then she goes and does that. She just ruined Kristen Cole's life. Now, Cole's responsible too. He's a grown-ass man, makes his own choices, whatever. But Rhaenyra, as princess, you can see that from her perspective, she's taking Daemon's bad advice and learning that she can just play with people's lives and not even thinking about the consequences of what this could bring Sir Kristen. Because Rhaenyra, they'll wash Rhaenyra's rumor under the rug if they can, but Kristen will just get dismissed or sent to the wall or beheaded if he's caught. So I thought that was very, very callous. I don't agree that Cole had no choice. I mean, I don't agree with that. He definitely...
I wasn't talking to you.
Well, I saw you there. I saw you in the chat. So I see all.
I mean, Kristen was at a point. Kristen just started thinking with his dick. Like we can all attest to that.
He's like, "Well, I never seen a princess naked before. I'm just from the country."
No, I believed in him because when she was playing that hat game, and ladies, we all know this game where you're like sort of tipsy, but you still know what's going on, but you can just like lean in and like play a little bit drunker than you actually are. And you can like play like the, "Oh, let me grab your sweater. Oh, it's over here." Like this is a game as old as Adam and Eve. Eve played this with Adam, okay?
I know that game. I've lost a lot of hoodies that I really liked.
Hats, your most favorite thing. But when he was not giving in, like Kristen, he was like, "Princess." He had a look of frustration. That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the Brienne. He's gonna be the most honorable character, but it didn't come to pass. But what Rhaenyra really did was messed up Daemon's plan, because Daemon, he did it on purpose not to fully take her. Because I feel like his whole plan was, to like sully her name, have it show her hair, have it get back to Viserys.
Well,
Then
there's
he
no
says his
question
line.
about that. Yeah, right, about that
Then he
part.
says his line, "I'll take her." Viserys lets him, and then he can actually have the maesters examine her and see she was a maiden. It wasn't true, but like so she can still have her honor or whatever. And then they can get married and be like a nice fairy tale happy ending. But now she's ruined that with the whole Kristen Cole thing. Not that Viserys fell for it anyways, but yeah. Sorry.
I was wondering, like, when Damon made a pretty convincing plea for it too. He's just like, just give her to me, and you could feel Viserys like, these are my two headaches. Maybe I should just. But no, he doesn't. Viserys, by far, showed the most backbone in this episode out of any episode. He handled the scandal well, in that, like, he was running a game on Sir Otto from the second that Sir Otto came to him with that. He was very quick to shift into, from being shocked to like playing the game on Otto, where like his reactions were calculated for Otto's viewing pleasure, essentially. And then after that, he took pretty clever action to sort of sweep it up. Then I thought the way he dealt with Rhaenyra was pretty good. It's like, it really doesn't matter what happened. It's all about perception. That is true. And then he tried to use the prophecy again to make the point that, like, look, the consequences are really serious. It's not about your desires. So, again, Viserys is a hypocrite because he sometimes makes choices according to desire. We know that. But at least he sort of understands the principle and is trying to impart it to Rhaenyra.
I always said he's not dumb. People in the fandom called him dumb and stuff, but I'm like, I don't think so. Like, even the way he was like undercutting, I was laughing when he was like undercutting Rhaenyra at the little party where he was like, all right, go enjoy the tapestries then. Like, he was like,
Yeah.
there was like wit and like, even though he's like making fun of his own daughter and stuff, but no, there's wit there.
Tim?
When he was talking about the prophecy, did you catch that they name dropped Aenar the Exile in this?
Aenar the Exile. Yeah, this because it was his knife before
Aegon's.
Before Aegon, right.
Before Aegon's, and then he's like, before that, it's hard to tell, but the last pyromancer of Valyria. And I was like, oh man, does that like... It gives us an idea that maybe some of these more ancient Targaryens might have actually been pyromancers themselves that were keeping the 14 flames at bay. So I think that was just like a nice little seed of lore that they just planted there by name dropping both Aenar and the possible owner, even older owners before him.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm gonna make a video about this. It's in a script that I wrote earlier today, actually. But there are glyphs in other Valyrian steel items. The Dragonbinder horn has Valyrian bands that have glyphs in them, and Euron has a suit of Valyrian steel scale armor, and the scales are incised with whorls and glyphs. This probably comes from Elric of Melniboné. He had a black sword that catches on fire. It's called Stormbringer. It's definitely the inspiration for Lightbringer. Elric tragically, accidentally killed his wife with it, just like Azor and Nissa. The thing about this big black sword that catches on fire with black fire, literally black fire, like the sword Blackfire, it's incised with runes that light up, but only when it's on fire. And then it has these red runes. So taking that knife and putting it in the fire until it turns orange and the runes come in, that's like direct nod to Elric, first of all. And the whole idea of putting runes in Valyrian steel is basically from Elric. So I think there's actually a chance that this could turn... And George is a gardener, so he might run with the idea now, but we already have runes in Valyrian steel, so we could see more inscriptions in other Valyrian weapons or items. Like on the inside of Aegon's crown, it could say, property of Aegon.
Aegon was here.
Aegon was here, yeah. I don't like Visenya. Don't tell her,
Visenya pussy dry. But did you guys
There's
think
that feminine
Viserys
touch, Tim. That's that woman's touch you were looking for. So you or I could say that and wouldn't.
But, did you guys think that Viserys was a little sad when he was dismissing his pet Otto? I felt like there was a little bit of sadness. Like, I don't think he would have dismissed him if Rhaenyra, which I like that change from the books. That it was Rhaenyra who was like, okay, I'll do what you say. I'll marry Laenor, that's fine, but go ahead and get rid of the biggest lick spittle in the land.
I liked it. Go ahead, Tim.
When he dismisses Otto and he gives him the exact same line he said to Daemon, the crown and the realm owe you a debt it can never repay. He says the same thing to Daemon literally the day before he exiles him again. And then he does it to Otto right before taking the little hand symbol off of his chest. And I was like, oh, you did them. I mean, I didn't want to feel bad for Otto, but it's like, wow, you just did him the same way you did Daemon.
Well, yeah, that's actually high honors for Otto. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
I got a text.
I thought that the acting was good. What'd you say?
He should have got a text. You fired.
No, I thought the way that Viserys handled that was pretty good. I like the acting from Rhys, who plays Otto. It's always interesting to watch actors try to play somebody who the audience knows is lying, or that we're supposed to interpret as lying, because all acting is lying, right? Like, yeah. You're right. So I thought that Millie did a good job when she was lying to Alicent, like, these are vile rumors, that's absolutely false. Like, it wasn't the best lie. So it made you think that, like, Alicent is choosing to believe her. Like, Alicent really wants to believe the best of Rhaenyra. She's a little naive with that, I thought.
But did Rhaenyra didn't say that she was a maiden. She just said she didn't do anything with Daemon.
Yeah, that's what I mean about. That's what I'm saying about this game of telephone and half truths. Because no matter what, even when Rhaenyra is confronted, she'll deny the Daemon stuff, but she's not telling the truth about the Kristen Cole stuff. Like,
well, he said that he never laid a hand on me, so that was a lie, and she swore on her mother's grave.
That's why Alicent believed her. If you're gonna swear on your mother's grave, Alicent's like, yeah, everything she says is true because she swore on her mom.
And I thought that was good writing.
Horrible.
Well, it was horrible, but it was good writing because Rhaenyra had no choice. Like, she needed to go balls to the wall to deny this rumor. So much at stake. So you could understand why she would do that. But that's what happened when you do something bad and then you're lying to get out of it, is that you dishonor yourself further. And so that's what Rhaenyra did. You lied,
and then you lied to cover your lies. And that's what's happening.
Yeah. So, and then I like the way that Rhys acted Otto in that scene with Viserys. It was like, that's just absolutely ridiculous that I would put my daughter in front of you. And Viserys is like, yeah, I see you. I'm a little slow, but I figured it out. Yeah. So that was like, good job, Viserys. Good job. You figured it out. Because
like the only people that can authorize people to come into my room is the king, which is me, and the hand of the king. Who has access to my room after hours?
Well, plus Daemon and Rhaenyra have both 4 years apart now told Viserys that Otto is a scheming snake. Like, Daemon told him that, and here's Rhaenyra saying the same thing. So at a certain point, he's got to be like, yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, it almost gave, like, it was close to the Sansa Littlefinger scene when, like, Sansa was saying, like, it took me a while to learn, but I do learn. Like, that's kind of how Viserys was with Otto. Like, yeah, I see you. It took me a while to see you for what you are, but now I see you. And that's like one of two Littlefinger moments we get, because we also get that at the end with the Tansy tea, where I think, we can relate that back to the main story with Hoster Tully making Lysa drink Tansy tea to essentially abort what would have been Littlefinger's child.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought of was Lysa. So does that mean it's time for us to do our heroes and villains?
Let's do it. Actually, give me about 2 minutes. I need to run and get Cleo. And I'm going to just set Nanny Vagar to watch over the chat. And I'll be right back.
Woohoo!
Now, y'all boys be good. If y'all's any misbehavior in the chat, I will come down and eat you. Thank you.
All right, here's your walking cane. I love that start with the Brackens and the Blackwoods.
Yeah, when that kid came forward, and I was in my head, I was like, is that Ben? And I'm like, And then I was like, nah, that's too early. Then when he killed the Bracken, I'm like, I think that might actually be Ben. I was not expecting to see his ass until at least season 2, but
No, I was
they're
meaning
planting
like that's
seeds.
Benjacott Blackwood, and
Yeah,
I'm like, that's Benjacott Blackwood. He's a really great fighter. And then he's like, wimpy wimpy kid. And then the last thing you see is him like killing someone twice his age. So
yeah.
I'm like, see, I told you he's a really good fighter.
I mean, it was a Bracken, and nobody likes the Brackens. Did it? So
Just
yeah.
picking on a kid.
But yeah, like I said, they're planting some seeds real early because I did not expect to see Bloody Ben in season. I didn't, in season 1. I did not expect him until at least season 2. Makes me wonder if we're going to see some other names earlier than we thought.
For sure. I'm really still waiting for us to like just go to Winterfell. Like it doesn't have to do anything with the story. Just kind of like, how in Game of Thrones, like we would go and visit Daenerys. We would go and visit like all these other I'm like waiting to just start a storyline in Winterfell that has nothing to do with this one, but it'll join up in the last season.
Now, like we've been pretty confined, like to King's Landing, Dragonstone, Driftmark, and the Stepstones, like the 2 island Bloodstone and Dwarfstone. Like those have been our only real places of note right now. Like at first, because I'm not sure where they were. Did they mention like where they were meeting originally? Because the first one to show up is Lord Dondarrion. So I didn't know like were they at, but they were with
They said
sitting next to. Like yeah, he was the Lord of Blackhaven was the first to present himself, the real old guy, which made me think like, are they at Blackhaven? But then seeing the Baratheon made me think they're at Storm's End.
In this castle of Blackhaven or something like that. I don't know.
So I think it would be that Storm's End is the ruling castle of the Stormlands. So we had like lords that were somewhat local. I mean, Blackwood is a little far away, but
Yeah,
Dondarrion is obviously close to the Stormlands. So
yeah, but like since it was a Baratheon sitting next to him, does that mean it was him hosting it at his castle? Was it Storm's End that was hosting it? That was my question.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah, I assumed that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm right, but I assumed that.
because they had to. I mean, they sailed back to King's Landing, so it had to be somewhere a bit.
Yeah, that's what
farther away
everyone
from
is saying.
King's
Storm's
Landing.
End. So
Okay.
it's definitely a Storm's End looking chair. A chair a real king could sit
I
in.
actually have to hurry up and think of my hero and my villain. But it's okay.
So heroes and heroes and villains. Okay. Sorry, I was distracted. Go ahead.
Yeah, we
I'm
never
still
got
thinking
into
of mine. Tim, is yours ready?
it.
3-Ring Circus. Come on, somebody's got something.
Okay, I'm actually going on the route of no heroes this week. Everyone was making mistakes. Even though and I kind of like part of me wanted to give it to Viserys for finally seeing the light, but at the same time I'm also like, you know what? Nah, too little, too late. Like you had your moment, but it's coming way too late in the game, and we're too far into this now for this your revelation to finally see Otto for what he truly is to make up for it. So I'm going on the route of everyone everyone was bad. Everyone deserves a timeout this episode.
That's not a bad call, Tim. I can't disagree with that. What did you think of that, Nettles?
No, I'll give the hero to Viserys just because people pick on him too much, and I agree with you, David, in that like he was playing politics, he was keeping a cool head, like, and he was giving Rhaenyra a lot of grace, like he always does. So just being consistent with that, and he was making the moves. Now the villain, I'm gonna have to say is Rhaenyra, just because it was too much pouting for me. It was like that conversation she had with her and Allison. Allison's like, it sucks being queen, and she's like, it sucks being princess. It started off with like that pouting, and then she goes to her uncle, and she's like, oh, but it just sucks being me so much that he feels so sorry for her. He gets her a disguise and shows her a night on the town just to stop her freaking pouting. And then the outing was also a test to me as well, and she failed the test. Like she immediately gave in to Daemon. She has like no like sexual prowess or knowledge or anything. I mean, nothing like that comes natural, it seems like. So every opportunity she had to make the best of her situation, she chose to pout or chose the wrong choice. So yeah, she just let me down. Sorry, Rhaenyra.
Yeah, she's definitely. I think the last couple episodes were building towards this for as far as writing her plot. Um, it's like she was really just like getting wrapped up in the emotions of her situation, and she's not thinking proactively about how to make use of
Yeah.
what's laying around her. Like I pointed out last time, she could be using the courtship to win allies, and you could see the Blackwood was crushed the way that she dealt with that kid. And then he gutted. Who's the other? He gutted the
He was
shit
a
talker.
Bracken.
Oh, it was a Bracken. Oh, of course. So that's awesome. That's awesome. There's so many love notes to the fandom. It's just great. Fuck those Brackens. So good for the Blackwood kid. But no, yeah, Rhaenyra. So that's not a bad pick. Rhaenyra was definitely villainous. And don't get me wrong about Kristen. It's not that I felt sorry for Kristen. It's more like I felt sad watching him give up his honor. It was a sad scene. That's
Yeah.
what I want to say about it.
He made the wrong choice. It's like when yeah. It's very humanizing because I feel like we've all been in that where it's just like you have another choice, you can walk away, but right now this is the easiest choice and the best choice for you. And so you do it.
So I'm a big fan of considering hero and villain in the very classic like narrative kind of roles as opposed to more of a morality thing. So in that sense, Rhaenyra does do a heroic thing, a proactive thing by getting Otto fired at the end. But other than that, most of her actions would qualify as a villainous role. My hero is going to go to Alicent
Oh boy.
because Alicent, good-hearted as always, doing the right thing, having faith in her friend even when she didn't really deserve it, trying to plead on Rhaenyra's behalf to her king. And it seems like Alicent is less under the thumb of her dad as she used to be. She cares for Viserys very tenderly in the scene with the bath. And I like how the show is showing us their relationship. Like we haven't seen many scenes of them in private. And so we're left to wonder if there's any affection or what's going on. So we see that like there's a little bit of tenderness building, but then that sex scene was really rough. Like, there's no love here at all. So it's interesting how they've begun to give us a glance into their relationship. But mostly I think when you look at what Alicent's doing, like she really is trying to do the best in this situation. She's trying to play peacemaker. She's trying to see the good in people. She's not completely naive. She sees Daemon for what he is. And I want to watch the episode again. Like I said, I think that she is coming away. Like she's really in a different place than Otto at this point. So she would be one of my heroes. And the other hero I wanted to mention was Mysaria, just for like finding her way in the world, getting out from under Daemon's thumb, and rising up. She's risen a lot over the last 4 years.
We'll see. I'm not a fan of the White Worm, but we'll see.
I will say I definitely felt bad for Alicent during that scene. Like that was a uncomfortable scene to watch with old Scabback flailing around on top of her, and you kind of see her just disassociating.
Yeah, that was rough. That wasn't really heroic or villainous. Maybe it was heroic. But in generally, the way that Alicent is managing the relationship is pretty good. And we see a couple of moments where Viserys was pretty rude to her. So when she was behind,
To Alicent?
yeah. So he made fun of Alicent's thing about, maybe Daemon would love the tapestries, and like, he put her down pretty hard to the point where Rhaenyra felt bad for Alicent and jumped in to help her save face. They're like, I'd like to see them. And then when she was listening behind the curtain, or not the curtain, but the dressing thing, and Otto was talking to Viserys. Otto left, and then Alicent stepped out from behind it, and Viserys kind of like gave her a look of disgust and just walked out. So it's almost like he's transferring some of his displeasure for Otto onto Alicent, I felt like, in that scene. So it's it's a sticky thing, but I think Alicent's doing her best with it.
Yeah, I'll finally admit that even though I hate Alicent, the show is showing us that she was innocent before she came into her own marriage bed. But it's just, I don't know. Like, I get the age difference. Maybe Viserys is always going to be like gross to her. But I'm saying we have seen examples where women like Daenerys take a really bad sexual situation and turn it to their benefit. So that's why I'm just kind of like, okay, Alicent, you're like laying through it. I mean, did you try? Did you go to counseling? You gotta try stuff to make your relationship work. You can't just be like, oh, it's horrible for me. So
So
I'm just kinda
Daenerys, that's an interesting comparison. Daenerys was able to turn the relationship around with Drogo first through their sexual interplay. It was when she changed the dynamics of that, and that began his respect for her that gave her a better position in their relationship. Alicent is doing it a different way. She's earning Viserys' respect through good counsel and by literally caring for him. So I think that just reflects the different personalities of someone like Alicent.
I'm just saying to make sex better for Alicent, so she doesn't have to sit there like feel
Oh
sorry.
no,
for me.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying the writing reflects the different kinds of people that Daenerys and Alicent are. So,
But the actress is wonderful. I did feel sorry for Alicent, and even when her face stiffened when Rhaenyra said, I don't want to get married." She's like, no. She's like, "Oh, isn't that romantic?" She's like, "What's romantic about that? Being in prison in a castle and being forced to breed heirs?" And like, Alicent was
sorry, I had clicked the wrong mute button real quick. I think the audience might have heard like a 2-second cutout there, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, that was.
It's not so good for her. I feel a little bit bad.
Thank you.
Yeah, like-
That's decent. That's decent of you, Nettles.
I don't,
Yes.
I don't claim to be any kind of sexual dynamo, but I know if I was in that situation, if that was the reaction a woman was giving to me, laying flat like that with no sound, no expression, I'd fucking kill myself out of embarrassment.
That sentence started off awkwardly, Tim, but you make a good point, which is that Viserys, like, hello, dude.
Like, he has that moment where he looks at her and she like smiles and shakes her head like almost as if he asks, like, is it good for you? It's fucking,
Well, if she says yeah, then he'll just keep going.
Probably
So
he was late. He was probably drunk. You think? Viserys?
Wasn't it right after their bath? I feel like she thought she was in the clear because she like gave him the bath. Like, yeah, he's just gonna go straight to sleep. This is fine. And then she was like, "Oh fuck." But it also screams
no.
that they don't have sex often. They probably just have sex to make those kids.
Hashtag Dynamo Tim. I'm seeing in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh god.
because last episode when we saw that Alicent was pregnant again, I couldn't. I had forgotten the birth order, so I didn't know which was which. So I'm not sure if this was like if they conceive another one or what, or if they're still gonna play up that Daemon Aemon angle that we talked
Aemon's
about
been
before.
born.
No, I thought that was Helena, that baby. I thought it was a girl.
Yeah, she's third. It goes Aegon, Aemon, then Helena, and then Darion.
Are you sure about that? I thought Helena was second.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
that
pretty
baby
sure.
was a girl. The one I'm pretty sure Aemon is second.
I don't
Well,
think
I'm not
Aemon's
sure.
been born
Chat,
yet.
tell us what's the order.
I don't
It
think
doesn't really
Aemon- I don't
matter.
think Aemon's
I mean, it
born
doesn't
yet.
matter ultimately. It doesn't
It matters
change
to me.
any of the rights or anything like that. But I thought that Helena was second. Yeah, Helena's second. Yeah.
No, because I was saying like, well,
Helena
because I
is
was thinking
second?
like if she had been pregnant with Aemon last episode, then there'd be no way for Daemon to be the father because he had been warring in the Stepstones. But now Daemon's back and Aemon's still not around. Aemon has been born.
Yeah,
yet, so
I don't think that theory's
plot
looking
thread's
real
still a
strong.
possibility.
I don't think that theory's looking real strong. I can't see Allison and Damon.
I think I might because they made it a point. They didn't have to show us the Alicent Viserys sex scene. So what they're setting up is her just like, because the thing, somebody was talking over their sex scene too, something about Rhaenyra, like a woman finding out what she wants. And it panned to her like, boring face. So it's like basically saying like she'll probably like live her life with Viserys being her only sexual partner. Or maybe we'll see a scene where Alicent finally gets the O. And it might be Daemon.
Well, I can understand that part of it, like the idea that obviously someone in a loveless marriage with awful sex like that could obviously conceive to find passion and love somewhere else. It's just, Allison is such a rule follower. Like the most quintessential Allison line was when she was talking to Rhaenyra and she's like, "You shouldn't have put yourself in a position where anyone could question your virtue."
No,
And it was just like, I mean, she's right, but it's just like that was just such an Allison thing to say. So I don't know.
If she goes seeking the O, like Nettle said, like you got Damon, or she might ride the Cole pole. Who knows?
This thing is getting, I can't put any ads on the stream at all. You guys are terrible.
Well, Cole switches sides, and he switches sides pretty hard. But so we'll see.
I'm sorry, you cut out. I just heard Cole and pretty hard. And what was that? Somebody said that Rhaenyra was the hero for doing Millie was the hero for getting to do a love scene with Fabian, the best looking person on the show. That's a good call.
Fabian is the hero in that case. Then.
No, I did not watch next week's promo.
There's got to be the occasional moment, Dave, where me and Nettles have to make you regret asking us to do this with you just a little bit.
Yeah, no, we're that moment passed like 20 minutes ago. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's all Tim. I'm really young and innocent. But
the chat completely loves all of this filth, so it's just me getting uptight. It's fine.
All right, let's talk about serious stuff. We only saw one dragon, and what was up with that? Why was Caraxes trying to sink their ship? Just playful stuff?
They're just saying hi. Yeah, just you guys need a little push, right? Some extra wind.
All right, thanks, Caraxes.
So I did like how they started the episode with all this like such a setup of happy endorphins, like, oh, Allison and Rhaenyra are getting along again, and Daemon and Viserys are reunited, and I like Daemon's scene in the throne room. Add this to the chair. That might have been my favorite line of the episode. Throwing the hammer down. Add this to the chair. It's not a sword, but I'm sure you can melt it. Oh, you don't have a dragon. No, it was pretty funny. But then they completely... Okay, so when Daemon snuck Rhaenyra out of the castle, that is a good example of Daemon understanding psychology, understanding what Rhaenyra wanted. And he completely entranced her. I mean, just think about that. You've never been out of the castle. All of a sudden, you're sneaking around, and it gets progressively more exciting as they go. And finally, they're in the brothel. This is almost like an otherworldly experience for Rhaenyra. She's never seen anything like this. So, without any break or any chance to sort of consider what she's gotten herself into, the whole thing just builds and builds and builds until she's making out with Daemon. And obviously, she's thought of her uncle. You know, there's been tension or whatever. So she's just, it's not like, oh, I've never thought of you in a romantic way, uncle. And like, no, clearly they have thought about that and they're going for it. But then it goes sideways. And like, that's when the spell breaks. And so Rhaenyra goes back to the castle. And then I think that second scene was so telling, how she decides that her appetites are awakened and Daemon's maybe not safe, but Criston Cole is safe. She feels safe with him. She feels comfortable with him. And so she chose to have her first time, presumably, with Criston. So that's understandable. But like I said, it's also kind of monstrous because she's just playing with grown men's lives and not even thinking about what she's doing because she's the princess. She has a lot of power. So I just love the way that was all written. And thoughts.
It made me feel so good. Someone in the chat said this. It's so nice to see. This is what I was waiting for, but it's so nice to see the pages in the books come alive. Like just the fact that we got this confirmation, seeing which choice, seeing the anguish in their faces. So just, it kind of feels good to be right. Like I knew this was coming or whatever. But no, I just wanted to say that I'm happy about that. That we know now for sure what happened with Criston Cole.
Well, it's the beginning of what happened with Criston Cole. I mean, I assumed that they did sleep with each other at one point.
I didn't know.
No,
it could have been a Brienne, a goody two shoes.
So you mentioned
so many people.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, because like before the show, so many people would refer to Kristen Cole as an incel. That sometimes like you got the idea that maybe they never had a hookup, and that was the thing that pissed them off the most. But now we see no, at least in the show's canon, they did have their hookup.
So we talked about it a lot, but the answer that I came to that made the most sense was that Kristen eventually gave in to Rhaenyra and then got pressed. And then Rhaenyra was like, no, what are you talking about? And so that's when she didn't return his love, because he broke his celibacy to sleep with her. It's a bigger deal for him. Whereas Rhaenyra was like, wanted to have an experience.
For her too, though, yeah. For a woman, and
well, it was a big deal, but like I can see Kristen like I said, eventually. But this was my guess before the season was that they would sleep with each other. He would get hung up on her, and when she finally rejected him is when he would turn against her. But it's hard to see it. I mean, we've only seen the first step of this. We know that they slept with each other now. I think the next thing we'll see is Kristen feeling guilty and trying to be like, no more, princess. So I'm not sure if they'll keep an affair going or not. I don't know that they need to.
The story's moving fast, right?
Yeah.
We're already here, so I don't know. I'm with you. I definitely think Rhaenyra is going to reject him in the end, but the fact that they slept together, and I think they will keep sleeping together, they might do like a montage of like, look at them falling in love and ha 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 in the bed sheets, like those scenes. And I think he's just going to fall, because of now the sexual relationship, he's just going to fall more deeply in love with her, and it's going to hurt even worse. It's one thing if you never slept with her and it was just like, oh, I thought we had a thing. But now you did have the thing. So, yeah, I think she's going to.
And obviously it's, Kristen can say no there, but he's in a very bad position either way, too. Because if he does say no, then potentially he's angered the princess. He could be dismissed as Kingsguard. Yeah. Rhaenyra could have it out for him then. So I don't think...
And he genuinely likes her. Like, not romantic, but he likes her as a person. And when you kind of like someone and you have that boss relationship, you do whatever they say. Like, you go and pick up the coffee. Like, you go because you like them. So
it's pretty complicated. They've done a good job of creating these situations that really are complex type of tangles. That this is how real life is, man. Real life gets tangled up and like there's no cut in the knot cleanly, So I think they've done a good job of creating.
Cutting. Just when you say like cutting, but it's got to be a thought in the back of Kristen Cole's mind. Like, this is past the era of Lucamore the Lusty. Like, we know what happens to Kingsguards who break their vows of celibacy. And so it might be, if Kristen Cole gets found out and if they keeps having these trysts, it's going to be something else of his that gets cut.
Well, the thing is, I'm like with Jamie, where the Kingsguard vows are trash. The only ones that are good is like protect the weak and innocent, but everything else, it's just words that men told you to say. They don't have mystical power. So it's like, I felt that maybe he'd be kind of like on Jamie's journey of like figuring out which of those vows matters. And even with the Night's Watch, like the not having sex vow, like what does it matter if you actually have sex? I thought maybe his journey, his arc would have been like realizing like, get the stick out at your ass and don't be so tight.
I think that's why we got the scene that we did with Daemon where he says like sex is a pleasure. It's these weird twisted ideologies surrounding sex and purity and virtue, maidenhood, celibacy, all that, as if sex somehow taints your character and makes you somehow a lesser person. It's really, like anyone who's grown up from like like more of a repressed, like in a more repressed society. Like, I mean, we're Americans, we're in a repressed society. And then you got some people who like, whether it be their faith or their culture or whatever, sometimes you just get these weird ideals about sex. And then Damon's more like, no, you should, release your inhibition. Sex should be pleasurable. Sex should be, it should be something nice for all parties involved.
Yeah, I like how I think they made some good choices here. There is some issues like to debate about agency but nothing is like, everybody's an adult here and everybody has a choice. So you can argue about, the only person that didn't really have a choice is probably Alicent in this episode. Marital rape is its own topic. She's not saying no, so it's not, it's not.
She said no when she was like, "Damn, it's late." That's a no.
So she's the one that's probably, I think, the most uncomfortable one because of that. All the other sex scenes that we had, like I said, the Kristen one was sad to watch, but he had a choice. He's a grown man. He
was having fun.
And he also didn't try. He said, stop one time and then let her undress him slowly over the course of 20 minutes. So it's not like he tried to talk her out of it and then went along. Like he definitely consented. He had plenty of agency. And the same with Rhaenyra and Daemon, which those of us who have read Fire and Blood knew that there was potentially a teenage Rhaenyra Daemon sex thing coming. We were certainly like, oh God, how are they going to portray that? What's that going to be like? And they waited until she's basically 18 so that it just like, we can focus on them as people a little bit more and less like, oh God, it's a 14-year-old. This is so icky. Like, she's 18. There's still some issues, but they're issues that we can talk about. It's not like she's completely naive and powerless and all that. Like, she's 18. It may have been, she may not be experienced in the ways of the world. And like I said, Damon's definitely sort of entrancing her with the whole orchestrated evening and all that. But that's like an interesting thing to talk about. That's not it's not the R word. It's not assault or anything like that. I'm just sort of keeping my eye on the chat. And I feel like there's a couple of messages that are a little sort of trying to make this more problematic than it was. I don't think we're supposed to watch all this and come away with the conclusion that like people are raping each other. Like, these are people making bad decisions and these are adults making bad decisions. So that's my feeling on it.
That's why I said everyone needs a timeout this episode. we all need a timeout. Every one of us three especially. Me and Nettles, definitely.
Not me. I think it's interesting.
You're innocent.
I think it's interesting how like Rhaenyra starts off by telling Daemon essentially that she's afraid of marriage because she's afraid of sex because she's afraid of getting pregnant and dying. Like her mother and how she sees Alicent is immediately doing is like the pregnant part. And then Daemon aims to show her, well, there's good things about being about sex. It's not, you don't just get a belly from it.
That's true. That part was well-meaning to some extent.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
But I think it's funny that Rhaenyra goes from like, oh, I'm scared to have sex, I don't want to be pregnant, into immediately having sex. But now, kind of tying into what you're saying, David, about creating a monster, not only has she been exposed to all of these things, she's also been exposed to Moon Tea. So now she's being shown that like you can have your Daemon, you can have your Kristen Cole too, and here's your Moon Tea to like button all that up so you can continue on becoming now Harwin Strong, like.
But that tea is coming from Melos, and Melos is in Otto Hightower's pocket, so it's not a get out of jail free card. It's not a have sex all the sex you want card, because you have to go to the Grand Maester to get that, and you don't think the Grand, like, come on, it's Melos.
So
he's probably got a Raven out that night. Going to Old Town to
Send
let the
Raven
Hightowers
to
know.
Old Town. Yes,
I gave the Princess Tansy tea. Old Town's gonna know that shit tomorrow.
So in A Feast for Crows, this is a plot point. Marjorie's getting Moon Tea, and Cersei ferrets out that secret and tries to use it against her. So just the fact that you're taking Moon Tea can be used against you and can be used to substantiate broader rumors. So I also like how everybody was on to the idea that spreading rumors is a way that people play politics. Like, people didn't just believe everything they heard. People looked at Otto and were like, what are you trying to pull, buddy?
Yes.
So it's good politics. The politics were exceptional in this episode. Let me just myself. There we go.
So going back a little bit, David, when you were talking about Viserys kind of talking down to Alicent, the first one he talked about when he said the tapestries, I saw that having nothing to do with Alicent and everything to do with Daemon is back. This is my buddy. This is my old college bro. We were in a frat together. Look, he's like showing off his war hero brother. Like, see, I'm a man's man too. He's like looking at Damon, like, you see, we have this bond. Like, I've been talking about the brotherly love since before the series started. I love to see it. But a little bit felt a little bit put on by Viserys, and I might have been because he was drunk as well, so he's like overly excited and stuff like that. But that's how I took that scene, and just kind of segueing into like how I really enjoyed the Viserys and Daemon brotherly bond this episode.
Yeah, that was good stuff. And that was right out of Fire and Blood, that scene pretty much. So it felt like a Fire and Blood moment come to life. And like I said, the add this to the throne. I just thought that was like the best line. So, real quick, Tim, I'll give it to you in just a second. Just going back, I want to read this super chat. Different perspective, I think is valid. Rebecca says, "I was an adult in a situation like Alicent, and I can tell you that was marital rape. I had to do it. I didn't get to say no." I think that's definitely a valid take. Like I said, that was definitely the most awkward and uncomfortable to watch. And yeah, I guess marital rape shouldn't just encompass literally like forcible resistance. I mean, that's the whole thing about the situation is that like, and Alicent being married to the king has even like, she can't just like call her strong female friends and be like, come pick me up. I'm leaving him finally. You know, like she can't even really do that. So now that's the game of making political marriages. So that's like what people are trying to do. But that's why Rhaenyra is describing it the way she is, like trapped in a castle and forced, blah, blah, blah. You could see that it was almost like Alicent hearing those words and realizing like, that's me. I'm trapped in a castle. And then after that, they showed us that scene so that we're seeing like, oh yeah, maybe Alicent isn't super thrilled with her situation either. Not that she ever has been. So thanks, Rebecca, for your perspective there.
It's like, just in case you missed it, Alicent's not having a good time.
No. And yet she still is thinking about other people, which empathy is my highest, value as a person. So whenever I see people practicing empathy, I like to give them credit. And that's why I named Alicent as my hero, is because even though she is in a bad situation, she is still showing empathy for other people and trying to see the good in people. So I like that.
Yeah. And just because, like, I don't want to make it seem I was making light of it, because my way of dealing with uncomfortable situations is through my sense of humor. So, but I never want to make it seem like I'm making light of that type of thing, even if we're like joking around a bit.
Yeah, and I'm making
fun of it.
And I do think, so just to be clear, Kristen said no one time and then went along with it. Now, of course, in modern parlance about consent and stuff, we are, of course, taught, especially as men, no means no. One no, you don't push. So if this situation were switched with the gender, we would be pointing that out. Be like, well, she said no, and then she went with it, so that's kind of messed up. It's still messed, like I said, it is a foggy agency issue with her being the princess and all that. So I'm not saying it's clean or anything like that. But at the same time, when I say he only said no once, it's just showing you like he didn't pull out all the stops to get out of the situation.
Yes.
He made a weak effort to try to not give in to temptation and then folded like a chair. So just to make sure I'm saying all that accurately and cleanly, it's sensitive stuff. So I just want to be straight with all that. But yeah. Tim, sorry, you held your thought. Hopefully,
lighter subject, I guess.
Yeah, feel free.
When Damon throws down the sword and presents the crown, because that was where I want to interject. His crown, it looked like it was made of driftwood, but it also looked like it had some kind of bone and maybe teeth in it. And I remember, like, I was looking real closely at the screen because I wanted to know, were those shark teeth? Because my immediate thought was, if that's a driftwood crown with shark teeth, that's a total Euron move.
It looked like it's what it looked like to me, Tim. It looked like teeth. I don't know what else they could be, bits of bone or something. It was very Euron.
I was hoping they would say like what it was made out of, but that was asking too much.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of a thing, like what would a crown that you'd make on the stepstones look like? You're not forging metal, so it would look like, some driftwood shit. But yeah, it was dope.
So if I can have a moment to simp on Damon, I just feel like he had this plan where he was kind of just like, well, I've conquered the stepstones. I'm not happy. I'm flying my dragon. I'm not happy. I'm banging my horns. I'm not happy. I've seized Dragonstone. I'm not happy. And I feel like there's a line he says when he's talking to Rhaenyra, because she's like, "What are you doing back here?" And he was like, "Oh, I had to come home." And the way he looked at her, it was like, I feel like his end goal is Rhaenyra. Like, he did all this. He gave up the crown to show, look, Viserys, I'm playing nice. Look, you can see my hands. I'm playing nice. He's like trying all these ways because he thinks that, and I'm not saying that it's the right choice, but he's tried all these avenues of happiness and he hasn't found it. But he has this kinship with his niece, and I think that's what he's come back for, to see, okay, now is this the thing that I need?
I think you're right. I think you're definitely right about that. I think he's been having his eye on Rhaenyra for a long time, and I think, I forget which of you said it, but yeah, he gets back to King's Landing and sees that she's been turning everybody down for 4 years.
I said it.
He probably was like, yeah, she's waiting for me. Totally, she's waiting for me. So, yeah, I can see that. You're his endgame, Nettles. Someone says that's actually true. Spoiler alert. So. Let me grab. So I think, as far as the haircut, I think probably he had to cut his hair because it just got all full of grayscale and like crab guts, and he had to cut it for cleanliness' sake. So
no matter how many times he washed it, it just smelled like
crab. Yeah.
That's something.
There are no references to his haircut in the books as far as long or short, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say, like, that's something. When I was thinking on it from last week's episode, like, we know that you can contract grayscale through touch, but whether or not it was like a bloodborne pathogen or something like that, like, or this idea of, because a lot of, if you have like you check out like the discourse people have like on Twitter and forums and stuff after, a lot of people are discussing like the idea of Targaryens and immunity to disease, but at the same time, it's like, no, Targaryens die of disease, so it's like it's a real crapshoot what they can contract and what they're safe from.
Yeah, so, it's like they don't get,
it's up in the air.
They don't get sick very much. It's definitely said that they don't, but they have died of the major diseases, spring fever and things like winter fever and shit like that. So
shivers. Yeah,
I always look at it as the same as the Targ's fire resistance. So like they're not immune to it, but they have a little more tolerance. So. Hotter blood, maybe you could, heat purifies things. So that's probably the way that George is thinking about it. Let's see. What was I going to say? Shoot. I got to go through some super chats here. We got a bunch of them stacking up. So let's go ahead and do that.
Super chats. Woo!
Thank you, people. And this will always, it's nice to go through these after we've kicked it for about an hour, because they'll always remind us of some things that we didn't hit. We can go back in for some stuff we didn't discuss. So. Moon tea at the end from Viserys or Otto. Oh, I read that one. We talked about that. Thank you, live like you're dying too. Lynette Carter says, Ryan spoiled us the most with this episode. Yeah, it was tremendous. Lots of references. Amen. So, dude, hold on a second. 5 days. My dad, Balin the Brave, died in 5 days, Otto Hightower. What's up with that? Like, it sounded like he was accusing Otto of having something to do with that, but without, like, he didn't have enough to really nail him on it, so he threw it out to see how he would deny it, and then sort of moved along. But he's just kind of like, yeah, always a little suspicious. You benefited a lot from that, didn't you? It was, oh, it's not ever I thought about it, Your Grace. Okay, sure. And then you put your daughter in front of me, didn't you? Rest in peace, Balin the Brave, and long live the Maester conspiracy. Tim, Nettles, what do you have to say?
No, that first scene when we saw Viserys with his shirt off, I'm like, those Maesters are killing him. Because I found like a cut on my leg that was kind of deep, but I didn't feel it, and I only felt the scab. So without me even knowing, my leg healed like a cut like this big of a scab that I didn't even know about. I'm sure that's happened to you guys plenty of times. So all these little cuts he's getting, losing 2 fingers from getting a cut on the swords, those are not Valyrian steel swords on the throne, people. Those are rusty, 150-year-old swords. So I don't know how sharp that they would be. Like, those Maesters are killing that man. That's all I've got to say. And I never thought of it reading the text, but the show's a different thing, and there's just no way. There's no way that they're innocent.
Well, I didn't catch any major conspiracy on the first read. Tim, I don't know if you did, but when I went back and looked for it and studied everything in the build up to the war that we're covering in season 1 and a little bit before Aemon and Baelin's death, red flags popped up everywhere. Well, Tim, what was your opinion on the conspiracy business that we saw tonight?
Yeah, because the first read I had of Fire and Blood when it came to Balin, it just seemed like, okay, burst appendix, it happens. But then upon second read and learning, like, oh, he lingered in agony for 5 days, and it's like, okay, was anyone? Then it starts to come in. It's like, was anyone doing anything for him? And it's like, okay, I get it. It's medieval healthcare. Like, maybe they really can't do it. What can they do for him? But it places like all these seeds of doubt as to whether or not if they could have saved him, if there was really nothing they could do, if they truly did not know how to handle something like a burst appendix, or if they deliberately let him waste it away. Like, it's still.
Well, the series says my dad was healthy. My dad was a fighter. My dad was a dragon rider. He was painting this picture of like he never had this problem before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, just like how I said, just the tip. I'll do another Sterling Archer. What's your biggest fear? A brain hemorrhage, because they can happen anytime, Lana. Well, same thing with a burst appendix. Like, sometimes it just happens.
Especially in Fire and Blood, a bad belly.
It's true, and of course the Maester Aemon one was even not Maester. I'm sorry, Aemon, Prince Aemon Targaryen, Baelin's older brother and the father of Rhaenys, the queen who never was. He was hit by a crossbow kind of randomly, not during a battle, but near an engagement. It's very suspect. Check out the Anti-Dragon Maester Conspiracy 1 and 2 for that 1 and 2 for that business. But yeah, I love it's alive and well on the show, that's for sure. If you were a casual watching this, you would definitely be picking up on all of this Maester Old Town stuff. To the point where when the Maester walks in with Moon Tea at the end, everybody should be realizing, oh shit, that's not good. If the Maester knows about this, then that means,
Everyone knows.
Yeah. Of course, Otto already knows anyways, or at least he's got some pieces. But if they can confirm her getting Moon Tea, then... I mean, honestly, Viserys might not have even ordered that at all. The Maester may have brought it there...
Protocol. Just
to put it on record so that later they can say she was taking Moon Tea, just as a setup, essentially. That could be.
But Rhaenyra's fucking up. She's got all these cards stacked against her. First, she's already a woman. Now she's like being rude to the lords. Like, she didn't, like last episode, she didn't know to thank Beesbury. Now she's being mean to guys that are just asking for her hand. And then now, on top of that, she's a slut. So she's already got 4 like cards stacked against her, and it's like, dang, it's kind of early. I thought she was Realm's Delight for a long time. I didn't realize that it started now.
No, it did, because all this stuff in the books, she was I think 16 when all this crap happened, and I basically took the same conclusion, which is that no matter what happened here, Rhaenyra has damaged her claim. Through all of this. And ultimately it's like it goes back to her dad, because her dad didn't do a good job of training her politically to handle all this shit. Like I pointed out last week, he's not coaching her well on how to deal with this courtship. Like, he should be telling her all these people are potential allies. So even if you're not choosing these people to as your husband, you should be developing rapport, building alliances, because you're trying to be the first queen of Westeros, and you're going to need that strong support. They need to feel it. Not just because they swore an oath. They need to feel loyal to you, Rhaenyra. You need to earn their loyalty. Somehow. That's what you're really doing here. But we didn't see any speech like that. So Rhaenyra's not being set up well, but she's also not doing well. She's completely caught up in what she wants and her own feelings, like a teenager often is, and isn't thinking about the power game and how to build her power base and stuff like that. So even though I've read Fire and Blood, I was still hoping that she would I was like, oh, she's going to learn. It's like, oh no, she didn't.
Yeah, you still want her to be like deserving of the crown. Someone in the comments just said that Rhaenyra doesn't even care about the commoners. And that's true. I think that's the second time she said something kind of dismissive about the commoners.
Yeah, hashtag Team Smallfolk. Yeah, and
Come on,
even
Rhaenyra.
Damon gets it. Damon's like, yeah, it matters. You know,
It matters what they think. Yeah. Like you might
Damon's
not
like,
think
look,
much of
welcome
it
to
now, but it's
my
gonna
world.
matter.
He's like, don't shit on my friends.
Damon is
That's
Team
true.
Smallfolk in a certain sense.
He's-
Yeah, sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's Lord Fleabottom. This is his house, and you come into my house and you don't take off your shoes. Like that's what happened
Yeah.
right there.
And notice in the play they were talking shit about Damon, but Damon was just like looking at Rhaenyra's reaction because it doesn't bother him because he knows
Yeah,
it is
like,
what
'cause
it
he's
is.
looking at her. He's looking at her like you better grow some thicker skin if you think you're gonna take the throne.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the point of that. Yeah, bringing her to the puppet show so she could hear how common people talk about all this shit. Because Damon hears it all the time, and Rhaenyra is completely disconnected with how a lot of this actually works. Clearly, so yeah, Damon's trying to teach her in his own way. So Damon's not completely selfish with what he's doing with Rhaenyra. He's just sort of like helping her in his own way, like.
He's doing what you want Viserys to do.
Kind
In a way.
of.
Not,
I mean,
just teaching her like about
and I know
like,
you didn't mean what
really
it sounded
taking
like you
her
just
hand
said.
in. But you know what I mean? Like seeing what the commoners think. Like, you know, being a ruler, you have to take the good with the bad and like
Yes, it is just is doing it in a very Damon way, which is they're doing a good job of writing Damon. He's pretty you know, like when I
Right.
say he's doing it in a Damon way, everybody already gets what that means. So
yeah. Yeah.
all right. Have you noticed that Emma Aaron has been mentioned in all 4 episodes? Yes, they're doing a good job, Moni, of making use of the things they've done. Unlike when you show the Night King's creation against a weirwood tree and then never use that information again, House of the Dragon is making use of the stuff that they're showing you. So yeah, it's good storytelling for sure. Let me go. There was a super chat about the one we were just talking about. Did anybody know how many sores are on Viserys' back? Yeah, there was a bunch. So
Too many.
Yeah,
And,
he's
and
got-
why are they all pus filled?
Mhm.
Do your cuts get filled with pus every time you've cut
Yeah, they're
yourself
like-
cooking with a knife?
They're pussy and crusty and yellow. Like it's bad. It's bad. What's like that's why I call it. He's scab back. Like
he's
that's
turning
what he
into
is.
the Baron Harkonnen. That's pretty much what's happening here.
Ew.
It's not fat,
No, he's not that bad. No.
but I mean, he's turning into. You know, it's got time to go still. So super chats, Vanessa. I liked how they showed that Alicent sleeps in a separate room and not with Viserys as husband and wife. Yeah, I noticed that too. I made a note of that. There's some tenderness, but yeah, they sleep apart. So that's probably not uncommon for that kind of situation. Damon's issue was that Rhaenyra, this is from Live Like You're Dying 2. Damon's issue was that Rhaenyra wanted him just as much and it took him by surprise, but he realized he didn't have the control of the situation and retracted. Maybe. I don't think, that doesn't seem right to me, but it's open to interpretation. Let's see. Andrew says, did Rhaenyra rape Sir Criston? No. I don't see any way he could consent or say no. Well, we talked about that already, but yes, he could say no. It's just a matter
It's up for interpretation.
like you can argue that, well, there would have been consequences, but no, I mean, he took a vow of celibacy, so clearly he has grounds to refuse Rhaenyra. And he didn't try very hard. Like I said, he didn't try to talk her out of it really or anything. So no, he definitely was not raped. I feel confident saying that. And saying that there's agency imbalances is not the same as rape necessarily. So
We'll see.
Andrew Steinmetz, especially in that situation, yeah, I guess people could say what they want about it, but no, I don't think that was rape at all. I don't think it was particularly close, in my opinion.
The moves that they were doing are not typical.
No, they were slowly undressing each other.
But no, even like after, like just those positions are usually not the ones that, yeah. But
Yeah, he put
I'll
up
stop there.
he put up a modicum of resistance and then folded like a chair. I think that is what happened, pretty clearly. So, Let's see. I'm sorry, I can't read this. It's just a weird spelled name. Alicent and Rhaenyra went from partial contempt to being kind of friendly. How? I kind of got the idea that Daemon chickened out due to feelings. Okay, so I don't feel like Alicent and Rhaenyra were ever contemptuous. I think there was tension, but I don't think it's ever devolved into open hostility. I think that they're showing a relationship that's gone cold for a time that then they sort of rekindled a little bit. Because we've seen Alicent is very isolated. So she was happy to see Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra's felt isolated too, being on this awful marriage proposal tour. So I thought it was realistic and kind of nice to see them enjoy each other's company again. But there were still very clear differences. Like Rhaenyra sitting there saying, "Oh, I'd hate to be trapped in a castle like you." And Alicent's all trying to tell Rhaenyra, "Well, you actually have it pretty good. You get to choose." So they clearly are in very different positions, and there's some tension there. But it was nice. What did you think of the dynamic, guys?
I was surprised to see them together. I actually thought there was contempt in the past, just on the principle of like the daddy shagging. Like a lot of people can agree, like you just never look at your friend the same way again, and that's not something you get over. I thought that, like the way Rhaenyra slammed that book, and she was like, "Is my daddy the one that's asking for me to come?" And she like, stormed off. It seemed like that was gonna last. So I was very surprised this episode to see both of them like just hungering to be friends again. So we'll see how long this lasts. It didn't last very long because Alicent was immediately like, "Oh, by the way, bitch, I heard that you've been having Am I frozen?
You're frozen. A little. You are frozen. Yeah, it's a pretty funny expression too. So, is that gonna? Oh, there you are. There you're back. I was just gonna say when Alicent and Rhaenyra fought last week in the Godswood, Alicent was treating her like a stepdaughter, and Rhaenyra was treating her like a stepmother. That was the dynamic. Today, when they got along again, they were speaking to each other as equals more. So I think that is instructive. But you look like you're back now.
Yeah, and it's like too like because the way Alicent comes to her is like it's doing something that a friend would do. Like, look, shit is being said about you, and you need to know. So that because people are going to start calling you in, and you're going to have to answer some questions. So like for Alicent to give Rhaenyra the heads up, even if sometimes her choice of words, because like even Rhaenyra's like, "Well, are you accusing me of something?" But then on Rhaenyra's end, it's like, look, get past the tone and the words that are being used. Like, this is serious shit because these accusations are going to be a problem for you. So even if you don't like the way that Alicent is presenting them, be glad that she is, because she could have kept that information to herself and left you out to dry when all this happened.
Yeah, and I really think it's interesting how Alicent is trying to manage all these relationships and people. Like, you get the feeling like she maybe closes the door and sits in her bedroom and she's just like, everyone is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
she says, like,
go ahead.
Like when she first confronts Rhaenyra about Daemon, and then she does say like, well, you Targaryens do have some queer customs, and it's like, and you can tell like in her back of her mind, she's like, yeah, these people are fucking crazy. I don't know what I'm getting into. And Viserys, for his end, he kind of has his own Robert moment when he was talking to Otto about, like you placed your daughter in front of me and all that. It kind of sounded like, it sort of reminded me of that scene where King Robert was like I'm surrounded by Lannisters everywhere I see their golden hair. Like Viserys kind of looks like when you said like he kind of put his disdain of Otto onto Alicent when he treated her like shit in that moment. It's kind of like the thing, like fucking Hightowers, I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah, and Nettles will be calling back in a second, guys. Obviously, she had some technical issues. So, yes, light your candles or chant, whatever it is, and she'll surely reappear.
Just nobody burn your eye out. We don't go that far.
And then what did somebody said something about Allison up here that was good, and what was it? Oh shoot. Oh yeah. What do you think is Allison? What do you think she's going to think about her father being dismissed? I think she's going to be fine with it. I don't think she's going to be upset. I think she's over her father and all his crap, and probably will be happy to have Viserys to herself. She'll have more control over Viserys, and she's probably ready to sort of step up and manage that situation a little more. She's no longer a scared 14-year-old girl. She's been the wife. She's been queen for 3 years now. So I think that I think she'll be fine with Otto getting dismissed. I don't think she'll be mad at Rhaenyra about that. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think she might feel some relief. Like, okay, I got some room to stretch my legs and come into my own without him hovering over me and making decisions for me. Because like Allison is trying to do right, like even while still being forced to do into these things with her father, she's still doing her best to try and make the best out of a bad situation. And without him hovering over her and her being able to like extend more freedom and have more time with Viserys, like maybe it could actually help improve their relationship a little bit more without her having the freedom of knowing like, okay, I'm talking to him with my own voice. I'm not talking to him with my father's voice and saying the words that I was coached to say.
Right, because just last week we saw Otto send her in to talk to Viserys about the heir and Aegon, and instead she was like, you should take care of the stepstones because that seems important. She picked up the letter and read it and was like, shades of Davos Seaworth and Stannis going, oh, what's this letter?
Yeah. Because she finally got Viserys to realize, like, oh yeah, losing this war would be bad and wrong. It would be Badong, and I must be the opposite of Badong.
So, if you want to use the custom emojis, such as the Cleo emoji, you will want to hit the join button. That's how you do that. I know there's different things going on. It's a YouTube thing. It's $5 a month. You get one free super chat type message a month, and you get the custom emojis. And you get your name turns green, and you have a squisher icon next to your name. So that's what you get for $5 a month. And that's the join button. So shout out to Cleo. She's still awake. I need to go put her to bed, though, in just a second. If we could just get another guest back to hold it down. Nettles, come back to us, Nettles.
Yay, somebody got my Kong Pao reference. I felt like I was waiting in the wings there, that it fell flat, but somebody got it. Yay, thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that sometimes your references go over my head, but I have a very patchy pop culture knowledge base. So, I think Nettles is calling back in. Nettles, hello.
Hello. Okay. I'm so sorry. The screen just froze.
Did you have to restart your whole computer?
It wouldn't even let me do that, but it let me open up. I think I'm using Firefox. It didn't like Chrome.
Well, you're back.
I'm back.
Firefox. All right. Thank you. Today's stream is brought to you by Firefox. All right. So cool. Well, thanks for coming back. So let's see here. We used to do segments every week, and we just do hero and villain of the week. I've completely forgotten everything else. We did conspiracy. There was no dragons, really. Just that one Caraxes flyby. We did Conspiracy Watch, which is the other important segment. Let's see. We didn't get.
I got one for little things that kind of flew under the radar.
Oh, perfect, Tim. Perfect. Let me put Cleo away, and I will mute myself and listen to you while I do that, and I'll be right back.
Okay. So it's when Allison brings up the idea of Daemon of going to view the tapestries, and and she mentions that they're from Norvos and Cohor. And, Viserys says nah, he's not interested in things like that. When he's kind of degrading Allison, but I'm looking at him but I am Norvos, Cohor, Lorath. the goth daughters of Valyria. That's where my interests lie. I want to see the
He visits those
tapestries.
places. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but
I
in the books, he does fly there on his honeymoon.
Yeah, and I want to see them so badly, especially Cohor. So I was like, so it was like kind of those that, and again Adar. Like those are the things that like my ears perk when I hear things like that. I'm like, oh hey, this was written for me. Norvos Cohor, yes. Tell me more. Tell me more. Like don't write it off.
Oh my gosh. Haley Brooks just wrote, you guys need to watch trailer 5. Trailer, Otto and Maesters are killing Viserys! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
That's the preview for the next episode.
Apparently.
Huh.
With a hammer, with a knife? No. I'm sure because of the freaking poison. They're doing something to him. So I'm not surprised.
Like they're letting the man waste away. They're definitely doing that. But it'll be interesting to see how they go. Again, like because we're given, when we read the book, we're given 3 different perspectives, and they're either choosing one or melding some, or maybe go in their own direction. So it'd be interesting to see like how they continue further. Like we said, like with Kristen Cole, it was a will they, won't they situation, because I use the example. Some people in the book fandom like always called Kristen Cole an incel. Well, no, they had their hookup moment, they had their tryst, but now it's a question of, are they going to continue having these hookups, or is this a one-time affair, or is somebody going to catch feelings, or what? It's like it's very open-ended which route they're going to take this.
We'll see. What else was going on that was non-sexual? I tell you guys, this was just a sex episode. It was the narrow sea. And I hope you guys always think about that from now on.
I mean, I'm a bit disappointed that we got no Corliss this episode, and this is our second episode in a row with no Rainey, so missing her presence here. Hope they bring her back soon.
I want to see the name of the next episode. I'm just looking it up real quick, because I have it. Don't scroll too fast. Oh, maybe it's further down than I thought. So the next episode is called We Light the Way.
So that sounds like an Old Town. Maybe, I guess we'll see Old
They
Town.
better take us to Old Town. They better not name it We Light the Way and not take us to Old Town.
Yeah.
So we're going to see Old Town next week? Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're assuming.
The name of the episode is We Light the Way. So I'm hoping we go there.
So somebody's Urxa is piping in, Squisher Urxa. What do you think of the excessive shots of rats? They were crawling over Balerian's skull. I think that's the symbolism talking right there. Of course, in case you don't know, the Maesters are often referred to as the gray rats. So if it means anything, it would mean that the rats are killing the king. They are, just as Tim said, they are killing the king. They are trying to kill House Targaryen. And the whole point of the Maester conspiracy is that it is logical. It is logical that the science-based community, science such as it is in the medieval world, there would be a faction of people that wouldn't want to live under sorceress, barbarian, dragonlord kings and would work to dispose them. And you can't fight the dragon lords openly, so you have to use poison and trickery and things. So that is the general game if you've never heard of this. But yeah, those rats, that's a great catch, Urxa. I'd like to say that I would have caught that on the second watch, but I will give you a hat tip when I mention that in my symbolism review, because I will surely follow up with that. I did notice them as soon as you pointed that. I was like, yeah, they're crawling all over the teeth of Balerian's skull. So that's clear enough.
There's a line, I think, in one of the main books. Somebody says about, like, I once saw a bear get taken down in Flea Bottom by a bunch of rats, and like the idea of being eaten alive by swarms. And that kind of brings us back to the, almost to the idea of the crab feeder who who we lost last episode, like just being slowly eaten by tiny creatures. Like here we got that with the crab feeder, and now here we get it with the symbolism of the rats and the idea of the maesters that are just allowing, even if they're not actively killing Viserys, they are allowing him to waste away.
It's also like, the many can take down the few. The Sparrow says
back in my day, we never would have allowed the rats in the Red Keep. We kept the cat around. It was Rhaenys' cat, and his name was Balerion. We named the cat after the dragon, and Balerion was a good kitty. Kept the rats out, and it hurts. It pains me to see.
Granny Vhagar,
I'm sorry. I just had to grab something. What was that? I heard a strange voice from out of the darkness.
It was our ancestor. But no, yeah, it makes me think of like the many taking down the few, and how it doesn't matter how powerful the dragons are. If you have enough rats, the common people, whatever you want it to be, that they can take them down.
It is a shame to see the Red Keep falling so low. Of course, maybe if we could get a rat catcher in the Red Keep.
Uh-oh.
Oh, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Continuing on with the super chats, and I will just remind everyone, we are trying to do a spoiler-free enterprise here, so just keep that in mind as we discuss how things may go. Carol Funk says just keeps getting better. That's right. Definitely, I saved my 10 out of 10 in the earlier week. Actually, I called the first episode 10 out of 10. This one was definitely like tremendous. I would give this a solid, definitely like a 9.5 at least. So do you guys want to rate real quick while I'm?
Yeah, I'll actually give this one an 8. I still think last week's episode was better for me. I don't know why. I think it was just too much sex for me. I don't like the sex. It's very improper. But I'm just kidding. But no,
that is not credible. That is not credible, Girl Nettles.
There was just something lacking in this one for me. I don't know what it was. I wanted to see. There was, for the book readers, so much development. It moved fast, but just grading the episode by itself, there was something missing. I wanted something more. Don't know what.
Well, I thought it was the best. I thought it was the best one so far. Because the whole point of this whole story is for the shit to hit the fan. We know it's leading up to, it's not a spoiler to say that this is leading up to a war and a succession crisis and all that. So I just, I love how they're setting things up, and then we can see these cracks in the foundation forming. Today was there was many cracks in the foundation that cracked today. So I dug it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Because I don't want to give everything a 10 out of 10 because we can always improve on things. But in comparison to last week was a very action heavy, hard, fast. I did my triarchy rant, which some people found funny and some people really didn't like. But we had our action movie moment. But this episode, it was more of it was like a slow burn. Things, and we see things are smoldering, things are festering. Like you said, this is the build up for when the shit hits the fan. Well, before the shit hits the fan, it has to pile up. And I think that's what we're seeing here, is that the mound of shit is growing, and this is what it's coming from. It's the lies, the half-truths, the people not know, the problems of telling a story but not getting the whole story, and keeping secrets, and and just years and years and years of rot and decay of incompetence, willful looking away of things. This is it. Empires don't, the empires don't fall in a day, and dynasties don't fall in a day. It is a slow process that takes years, and this is us finally reaching that breaking point.
Ardens has a good point. The female, they centered the sex scenes from the female perspective, which was not as a girl power thing, but just because that was the narrative that we were developing, is Alicent and Rhaenyra's perspective in those two situations, and so the scenes were shot from their perspective. But yeah, it was interesting. And you notice Rhaenyra, when she got with Kristen, it was calling out to Dany. You know, she was on top, she was in charge. So yeah, that was cool. And let's see, there's a female director on this episode, so. Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I should always check on that kind of stuff. I always forget to do that. I just watch it and think Ryan Condal does it all himself. That's not what happens at all.
Oh yeah, I actually read something today. Forget the article, but they said I guess this season, out of I think we're getting 10 episodes this season, I believe. 4 of them are directed by women, and that is the exact same amount of episodes that were directed through all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
So there you go. Yeah, I knew that had changed for the better this season, but yeah, I guess in the after show, the director, if anybody knows her name, so we could say her name instead of the female director. But yeah, she apparently talked after in the after show. I don't have time to watch that before I go live, so I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Keeping going with and it seems like most people liked this episode. There's a couple of people that didn't as much, but most people were pretty excited about this one. And that was pretty cool for the fact that there was no dragons, really. No dragon actions. This was all character drama. This was really a major Rhaenyra character episode, but also some interesting stuff for Alicent and Viserys, and of course, Daemon, as always. So see Carol Funk throwing in $2 for the Moon Tea. I guess just like, pitching in for in case Rhaenyra needs more Moon Tea in the future. That's cool. Appreciate that.
Moon Tea?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Sukiya Kari 1203 said, "How's Nana Vagar doing? Is she vibing with Lena?" That was my inspiration for just what happened a minute ago. For My People said, "Notice she's no longer wearing Daemon's necklace." When was she not wearing it? After the incident, I take it?
When she was talking to Alicent, maybe? When Alicent confronted her?
I guess I'm assuming after Daemon left her in a brothel, probably would be when she would stop wearing it. But I didn't notice that. I'll have to look again. Yeah, Moon Tea's got to be at least like $50. So you guys throw some more in there, and we can get some more Moon Tea for Rhaenyra. That's going to be my new fundraising slogan. I like that. Ira Parker is the director. Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Ira wrote it. No, Ira wrote it.
Okay. No, thank you.
We're waiting for the chat to give me correct information. Come on, chat. Thank you also, because I didn't know. The Net Girl 71, just some new love. I caught your vids during COVID lockdown. Off the hook at this point. Thank you. Welcome to things. And if you're joining the channel late, if you're just subbing to the channel, there's a lot of videos that you could watch in the back catalog. There's like theories and stuff. There's a lot. If you like A Song of Ice and Fire and you like magic, and just click the playlist tab on the YouTube page. That's if you're new to the channel, in all seriousness, click the playlist tab. It's all by subject, so you can dive into Euron, or don't dive into Euron. I'm sorry, that was poor wording.
It's perfect to binge if you have the type of job where you can wear headphones and you can like kind of work an autopilot. It makes your day go by so fast.
So tonight's director was Claire Kilner, says Brienne's fat sister. Cool, thank you. But interesting handle.
I remember Brienne's fat sister.
Did she have a fat sister? Is that canon? Is that?
No, she has no sisters.
Okay, all right. She does now.
I just like that name. I remember because she was here last time. Brienne's fat sister.
All right, so we got. Sometimes I just have to move on. I hope you don't think that I'm being rude.
No, I don't.
Having the book come alive has been amazing, said LaChico's Cards and Collectibles. It really has. And again, this was one of the scenes that we were most interested in seeing. I like the way they developed it into some drama here. So well done, I think. Who are we talking about? Oh, Bracken and Blackwood. Okay, I see. I don't think that was Ben. I think it's his dad, Sam, because his dad fought a Bracken for Rhaenyra's hand in Fire and Blood.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, but they might not even have Sam. They might just have it be that just one. I feel like that was Benjica, is what I'm trying to say.
No, the time. Dave's right. The timeline wouldn't add up if that was Ben because he's a kid now, while Rhaenyra is still a teenager.
He was like 12. I mean, he wasn't that much younger than Rhaenyra. I thought that was a little silly for her to call him a kid. I was like, he's probably 4 or 5 years younger.
I know.
I don't know.
But
I mean, they're going to be playing with ages and they're going to be playing with the timeline. So it could have been Ben. It could have been another Blackwood. I'm not sure.
We probably just have to wait and just see what they do and just let them tell us the story. But it's encouraging that we see that happen because it just means they're going to be they've established a character. So they're going to be doing something with this Blackwood boy who's obviously got some spine. It was like the most engaging of all the people that Rhaenyra talked to was the incident with the kid. And of course it ended with the sword fight where he killed the bigger kid. So definitely it's cool to see the Blackwoods are being built up here a little bit and, talked about his house a little bit. Let's see here. Dylan Murray, do you think when Viserys was dismissing Otto, he was, somebody did I love it whenever you do speech to text, Otto is AUTO. Was dismissing Otto, he was hinting that he had something to do with Baelin's death. Yes, so we covered that already, but yes, he was directly implying that was fishy. And I think he did that to sort of gauge Viserys' reaction, or to gauge Otto's reaction. I'm curious if Viserys follows up on that at all, because he might be being killed by the Maesters, and he's sitting there pointing the finger at Otto. So do you think Viserys starts to become suspicious of his Maesters at some point? I could see that happening.
I think it's too late for any of that.
Oh, it's too late, yeah. But do you think he starts to sniff it out at the end?
He's at the end? I think so, because even if he's getting smarter, you have to realize, even like the scene where like before Alicent bathes him, there's 20 people standing around just for this guy to take a bath. I get that he's the king, but there's little people like way in the back just like, it's my job to stand here. Do you need a third towel? So it's like, at some point he has to look around him and be like, who is that? Who is that person? Who is that person in the room? And are they there for your best interest? No.
Yeah, so how did Viserys come to that conclusion? I think we're supposed to think that he's probably been suspicious this whole time. I mean, it's not like a original idea to think maybe Otto Hightower is ambitious and has like, I think he assumes that he's ambitious. You have to assume that everybody's ambitious and that is playing the Game of Thrones. But that doesn't mean that you can't do a job well or not. So it's kind of one of those things where Viserys has probably always been looking at Otto. I mean, Daemon's been calling Otto a snake from the beginning. So again, it's not an original thought. It's just one of those possibilities that's been in the back of Viserys' head. And he finally decided that, yeah, this guy is not helping me. And we don't know how that conversation went with Rhaenyra and Viserys. But you could see Rhaenyra blames the whole thing on Otto for having spies. And that's correct. So she sniffed that out. And so did Viserys. So both Viserys and Rhaenyra think that this is basically Otto bearing tales. And it's like, well, true or not, why would Otto be doing that? He's trying to destroy us. So they both figured it out and then talked about it. So, and feel free to jump in, guys, if you have comments on anything I'm saying here. Otherwise, I will go to the next super chat. Christy says, hero Viserys. We mentioned that. Villain Otto. Honorable mention, Aenar Targaryen name drop. Baby Helena's colic making her mommy crazy. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, but I really liked the Aenar name drop. I liked the Aemon and Balin name drops even better, just because of the conspiracy angles. But lots of name drops. Let's see. I signed up for... Oh, we answered that one. The Cleo emoji question. Yes. Erk's $5 for the demonetization fund. That was after I said this stream is going to be demonetized because you guys were saying such horrendously foul things.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Rebecca,
we did our charity stream already.
Corliss is hanging out with the Bravosi though. So what were they saying? We've traded a crab feeder for a sea snake. So what is Corliss doing that's bothering the council so much?
He promised Lena to the son of the Sea Lord of Bravos. or he's in negotiation to
Or there's
marry
a rumor
off.
of it.
Yeah, he's in negotiations to marry
Viserys
Laena,
didn't marry
who's
her,
the son
so
of
what
the
does he
Sea
what,
Lord.
what does he expect?
I know.
That doesn't make him the same as a crab feeder. But we'll see where that
No,
goes next week.
I mean, it's Otto trying to sow more distrust between Viserys, like Otto's really trying to like deepen that wedge between Viserys and Corlys by, I mean, even if it is true that Corlys is having, talks with the Sea Lords of Braavos, like it's Otto sees it as an opportunity to push the Valerians even further away.
Okay.
And we had that conversation on another stream of like, there is advantage to Otto pushing Corlys out because of how Old Town, being a port city and a hub of trade, would be like a direct competitor with Driftmark. It makes sense that Otto wants to take Corlys down a peg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. That makes sense. Because it seemed like they were overreacting. I was like, hold on, Corlys just won a war, and you're already coming to the conclusion that he's as bad as the crab feet. Like, what's that based on? Is he crucifying people? Like, so yeah, it was Otto trying to play it up. Yeah, but
plus, it's a war. It was a war against 3 of the free cities. There's 9 of them. That means there's 6 others. It would make sense that Corlys is trying to create diplomatic ties and good relations with the others. So
with the other ones, yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that he would try and build up a partnership with someone powerful like the Sea Lord of Braavos, especially too because Lys, Myr, and Tyrosh are also slaver cities, which Braavos is against. So Braavos seems like a natural ally if in any kind of endeavor in the free cities.
It also seems like they were trying to imply that Rhaenyra would have to marry someone from the free cities because he was like, well, if they have a betrothal to the free cities, we should too.
Oh, is that what? Okay, I wasn't sure what they meant by that, but
I mean, I'm not sure either.
No, that was them cementing. That was them cementing that what Lionel said last episode. Like, look, you need to heal the rift with House Valerian, and it's further showing like you got to marry her to Laenor because that's the only thing because if the Sea Lord's going out of his way to make alliances with the free cities now, the only way you're going to get him back is going to be a royal marriage. Like, bring him back now. This has been allowed to go too far. You need to bring him back in, and you got to do something big to do it. We've reached the point, and that's why Viserys kind of lays it down with Rhaenyra. And I mean, Rhaenyra gets her comeback saying like, okay, I'll do my duty and I'll marry Laenor, but then you got to do your duty as king. And then that's what leads to Otto's resignation. And that's the great thing. We go full circle because Otto is the one. Yeah, because Otto is the one bringing up this shit about Corlys negotiating with the sea stake. But then the way to heal that is to marry Rhaenyra off to Corlys' son, which then directly leads to Otto losing his job. So him bringing up Corlys and the Sea Lord directly leads to him losing his job. It comes back to bite him in the ass.
Well, that's the whole thing about we see that with Littlefinger and Varys and Doran Martell, the schemers. They try to put plans in motion, but once the plans leave their fingertips, like, you never know what's going to happen. And then it's all about adapting on the fly. And you see various people have various levels of skill with adapting to what happens. So, yeah,
what do you mean my chess pieces have free will? I didn't allow that.
Yeah, well. So yeah, I am catching up with the super chats, by the way. So I took that to mean when he said that they just need to, like, oh, Corlys is making an alliance with somebody else. We need to make a marriage alliance to strengthen our side, like potentially against Corlys. Even better is to make to heal that rift. But that idea came later in the episode. So in any case, what I like is that they took this very small detail from the books about Laena being engaged to a Sea Lord's son of Braavos. Yeah. It's a very small plot point, and it comes up later. But they've gone back and said, oh, we can use this as potentially a sign of Corlys's displeasure that Viserys has turned down his daughter, and then because he read that Ryan, I presumably read that into what was happening in Fire and Blood. Or like, oh, why is Corlys's daughter engaged to the Sea Lord? Well, Viserys passed her over. So that does, if you think about it, it does seem like a spite move. So Ryan picked up on that and turned that into a whole plot point in this episode. That's really good. I think that's a good job taking some threadbare shit and making a story out of it.
Can't wait to see more of that plot line.
Thank you. Well spoken. Yes. Thank you. Spoiler free. Spoiler free. That's going somewhere, guys. Yeah, it's going somewhere. All right. So next super chat. Hi guys. Hi Nettles. Have you guys noticed that Emma Aaron? Oh, I read that one. Mentioned in all 4 episodes. Yes, we did. That was cool. Good observation. I think the Moon Tea delivery is sus. Crimson Templar says, I don't think it came from Viserys. I think it's more like Otto and the Maester's machinations. Yeah, I started to think that the more I thought about it, as I said earlier.
They're killing that man.
Whatever Tube says, all that gear he had taken off before sex, I bet afterward, and this is Kristen. He was like, damn it, I got to put all that crap back on. Yeah, Costume Co. will be happy. Finally, we're seeing all the layers of medieval dress that were worn. She was just complaining about that, so there you go. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it would be hot.
Yes, that's what I always think when I see anything like the 1800s. They did that too. Wore 5 pairs of underwear and long. Like, how does that even work?
Stockings.
I don't get that. Is Damon low-key grooming Rhaenyra or just opening her eyes that she can still sleep around? Also, I'm a new subscriber. You guys are great. Obviously, that one came much earlier in the stream. We've already moved past that. But, yeah, at this point, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go back into it. We pretty much all covered all the angles on that one. So
it's up for interpretation. Like,
yeah.
It's art.
I'm gonna a little column A, a little column B. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, totally. I will choose not to go back into that and just agree. Fabricello says, for someone who hasn't read Fire and Blood at this point in the show, I feel conflicted to try and get all the plot spoilers. What would you guys do to try to enjoy the best way possible? At this point, I wouldn't read Fire and Blood. It's only going to make it more confusing. Most of us who read it are kind of putting it out of mind for the most part. It's easier to enjoy the show that way. And Fire and Blood doesn't give you a conclusive truth on anything. So all you're going to be reading is like the menu of rumors and choices that Ryan had to work with when he made this story. So maybe after like season 1, go back. I wouldn't worry about it during the season though. And I wouldn't necessarily feel like you have to read it. It's not like A Song of Ice and Fire in Game of Thrones, where the A Song of Ice and Fire experience is richer because it's a long series of long books. Fire and Blood is threadbare. It's kind of almost hard to read. It's fake history. So this show is far more enjoyable than reading the narrative of Fire and Blood. So if you want to read it, then like I said, it'll just backfill you with all the different rumors and stuff, but I don't know that it's going to deepen your enjoyment of the show really. I keep advising people to just take the show as it is and let them tell their story. So I hope that was like 5 answers rephrased over and over again, because that's what I do. Do we think Rhaenyra drinks the Moon Tea? Doesn't really even matter. She probably would, because she actually did sleep with Kristen. But the point is, I think the bigger plot point is that the Maester gave her Moon Tea, and that now could be used against her in the future. But yeah, I would assume she drank it.
But if she doesn't, she could be pregnant.
And it shows like if Melos is telling the truth when he says that it's from the king, that the king ordered him to bring her the Muti, then it does show that Viserys still has his doubts about Rhaenyra, which, I mean, to his credit, it's okay to have, because she is keeping it a secret that she slept, like, she's not letting out that, but she did indeed sleep with Kristen Cole. But the fact that if it is Viserys that sent the Moon Tea, then that means Viserys feels like he has a reason to be suspicious. That he knows, like, I don't know what happened, but something happened. And this is like a precautionary thing, but it's like, And I feel like, but if she does drink the tea, then that kind of like would also be a confirmation of the suspicions.
Yeah, so Girl Nuddles in the chat says, "What if she's pregnant, guys?" And Girl Nuddles, I would say that she's probably she would drink the tea and not get pregnant, right?
I don't know. When you like the guy, it makes the decision a little bit different.
But that would get her in huge amounts of trouble. She needs to cover up.
All that means is that she has to get married quicker.
I guess that's true. Now that we have the question of who's the father of the first kid, potentially, if she were to have a kid soon. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll have to just put a pin in that.
Yeah. Remember, once again, I've never been wrong my entire life. Just remember that.
And what are you saying?
Uh-huh.
And what are you guessing? Predicting?
Oh, that she could be pregnant. Not like from this encounter.
Okay. Duly noted.
We'll see.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't drink the tea to like as a political thing. Like maybe she makes her a servant is watching and then dumps it in the fire or something. Could
My thing
be.
is we're bound to see changes from the books. That's why even though I love the books and like I'm trying not to like be focused on it has to happen this way. I'm like trying to figure out what are there going to be the changes? Like, you know, in Game of Thrones, they didn't have Stoneheart. They're going to have to make sacrifices like that or change stuff up. So I'm like, anything can happen. I know what's going to happen, but anything can happen.
I think it was interesting how they referred to Jaehaerys and said that Jaehaerys would have disinherited you. Because Jaehaerys was treated a couple of his daughters pretty harshly when they misbehaved. Yeah. And one in particular that literally went and became a sex worker in Lys. Or one of the free cities, I forget which. But it's interesting because when we talked about the Fire and Blood stuff before the season, and we talked about this incident and related, rumors and things, we talked about the idea of how, Viserys hanging on to Rhaenyra as heir, even when it became potentially problematic. And so I like the fact that they've openly raised this idea. Like Viserys is like, I would be justified to disinherit you right now. And so I like that he's thinking about it and that they're talking about it because it is an obvious path to take. And I'm glad they're not just ignoring it. Like, no, Viserys thought about it, but he's sticking with her. So again, put a pin in that and let's see how that goes and develops. So,
I mean, for Jaehaerys' part, he wasn't gonna. Let's be honest, Jaehaerys wasn't gonna let any of his daughters become heir, even if they were saints. And one of his daughters practically was a saint. She wasn't gonna be heir though.
My gel.
Yeah, Jaehaerys was always gonna. He would have given it to that nerd Vagar before he named it. Not Vagar. What's Vaemon? My God.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Vaemon.
Jaehaerys never would have had any of his daughters as heir to begin with.
Yeah,
that's true. But at the same time, given that
he banished Sarah for having sex.
Yeah, he punished a little. He had a little more backbone than Viserys. Let's see here. Did y'all notice that Mysaria was the snitch? Yeah, we talked about that. Otto was told you have a message from the White Worm. Yeah, no, for sure. That was like, I'm guessing she's jealous. No, not jealous. Like I said, Daemon let her down and didn't give her an avenue of, rising out of her circumstances. So she made her own way. And I think that's really good writing because it's just realistic that she would be looking out for herself and not besotted over Daemon or something. So we'll have to see. And Mysaria was looking right at Daemon talking about hard lessons. And so obviously she was talking to Daemon. Daemon didn't realize it, but she's talking about, oh yeah, hard lessons sometimes have to be learned.
But why is she mad? So she's the one that told Otto about air for a day. Yes or no?
I don't think
early
so.
on?
I don't think so because her and Daemon's relationship is totally different than it is now.
How do you know that she ever loved him?
Oh, I didn't say she did, but she was trying to latch on to him as her method of making herself safe. Remember, she said, I came to you, for safety, essentially.
yeah, they were still at least cool with each other when that went down.
Yeah, so I think it's totally different
Cool
now.
with someone, you could love someone and you could still be looking out for yourself, especially if you're a sex worker. And this is a prince.
But it didn't benefit her to screw Damon over back then and tell Otto that. So I think
and
that's
there's
right.
so many other people in that room, and
But well,
some of those guys would say that just because they just need a couple gold pieces. There's probably someone who would have said it just to get a damn meal for the day, you know? Like a lot
Yeah,
of
there was a
people
ton of people in that room. Exactly.
the gold cloaks that are loyal to Damon. I don't know. We'll see. It's just the first thing I thought of when they revealed that it was her. I was like, oh, so she was the one goading Damon into saying air for a day. But also, this episode makes me feel like Damon didn't say it, that it was whoever was saying it's embellishment, because in this one we see Damon admit to having sex with Rhaenyra when he doesn't. So we're seeing an example clearly of him lying about something that makes him look bad.
That's
Lying
actually
by-
a really good point. I was about to argue with you, and now I'm not going to. I think that's a really good point, that we did see him, much in the way of Tyrion, saying, "Yes, I killed your vile son." Damon has now strategically we understand.
He showed up.
What's that, Tim?
I said we've said Damon so many times that now he's popping up.
Your cat showed up.
Aww.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, Brienne's fat sister says he didn't say it. He just won't apologize for anything. I knew there was a reason why they cut away and didn't show us him actually saying it. And Nettles, I think you just hit it. He's now taken credit for something he didn't do. So we don't really know if he actually said it back then. Very good. Good observation. I like that.
We're just picking up on his character, all the clues that we can get.
He's definitely very prideful. Very, very prideful. There's no doubt about that. Ray Marin says, Otto was his mission, not Rhaenyra. So with Damon's antics, I don't see how. I think that's too many degrees of chess myself.
And he also didn't beat. I mean, you mean getting rid of Otto?
Yeah, like that only came after several moves down the road. I think the play was to get Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Let's see. Damon is too much a simp for family. I'm not understanding what you're saying here. Because I just don't see how Damon could have anticipated Otto would be dismissed from that chain of events. I'm not seeing that.
Well, I think the way that they're connecting the dots is Damon purposely revealing that it's Rhaenyra so that it gets back to the Red Keep, and then knowing that Rhaenyra would be mad, and like maybe he even told Rhaenyra it was Otto that told, and then hoping that Rhaenyra would then do what she did, which is ask for his dismissal. That's a lot of.
Yeah, I think that's too much myself. But of course, it's open to interpretation. So I'm not, nobody's right. It's
Damon was like hungover and completely out of it for like half this episode. Like when they drag him to the throne room and they throw him down, he even says to Viserys, like when Viserys starts kicking him, he says like, "Well, I need to know what I'm being accused of before I can even argue against it."
Like Matt Smith's acting was really good. He was like really pathetic and drunk. Like he was so drunk that like you could like the sunlight was probably hurting his eyes and stuff. Like
His face was all skeletal. That's why I was like, "What is he sick with?" I literally thought he had like a
no, like when Rhaenyra says like we went to a tavern, we went to a few taverns. Like you could tell, like he seems like he had been probably drinking all night long before he wound up at whatever inn Mysaria is running right now. Like he definitely seems to like after. I think the implication is that after he leaves Rhaenyra, after he realizes like he couldn't go through with it, I think he went on like a real like off screen. He probably went on like a real bender.
I think so too. He was hitting the rum and like the hard liquor and stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Drinking that fire wine.
Like, have you ever seen the? Think you've ever seen the video for the Prodigy Smack My Bitch Up? I think like that was Damon's night after he left Rhaenyra behind.
So Nettles, you have expressed what Ray was trying to say. So good job. And someone else,
cool.
yeah, Brienne's fat sisters pointed out, yeah, Damon couldn't even get off the floor. I love that. Like he He didn't even try. He couldn't. He was just like, everything was spinning. Like he was tottering into the Red Keep to go home, which I love. It's like, oh, here comes Prince Daemon. Everyone in the castle can see him. And he's just like, the hangover. It's just...
Guess he drank a lot. I don't know, man. I think there's something to what he said to Massaria. Am I your prisoner now? These lines, they're not wasting these lines on idle chit chat. These lines are having double and triple entendres.
Oh, I thought the double meaning was alluding to the fact that Massaria had sold him out to Otto. So it's like he wasn't a prisoner, but he did just get sold out, and he's about to get, taken captive by the king. So, but I don't know.
We'll see.
Like I said, I would assume that she scooped him up somewhere. Like he probably got pissed drunk, maybe passed out, and then he woke up in a place he didn't expect to be in. So he was like, "Am I your prisoner? How'd I get here?" And she basically.
But I also feel like Massaria knows exactly where he's at because she's running everything now.
Oh yeah.
Like since his absence, like even the gold cloaks, she's probably giving them a salary every week to do whatever she needs.
Well, we can see that she's well connected with the Whispers, so that means she has her own network of informants, which there's going to be a couple gold cloaks, a couple palace pages, a couple stable boys, So, King Viserys has diabetes. It's not the Maester. I don't...
Diabetes makes every wound turn to pus. Is that what diabetes does? I'm asking, even though I sound
okay. I don't know shit about diseases and stuff, so I couldn't say. I've not heard that, but I don't know. So, what are the scars on Daemon's neck? I didn't notice any scars.
Neither did I. It's now that you're saying that, it does sound familiar, like one of his lines, like I've got these scars or something.
I mean, he did just come back from a war, but
yeah.
Okay, so let me get the.
Minty's saying that diabetes can cause things to heal slowly. I think I have heard that.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Let's see. Sarah wants to know where the wig budget, specifically. Where is House Velaryon, which she's referring to as the wig budget. Yeah, they weren't in this episode. I do think they have to pick and choose to be able to focus intensely on a couple of characters with different weeks. So we should expect they'll do that sometimes. But that means just next week we'll probably get a bunch of Velaryon. Bearded Pants says, I don't have anything to say that hasn't been said except hail the stream triarchy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie Celestine says, loving your live feed. Keep up the good work. Enjoying House of the Dragon. They're getting better and better each week. Trey says, I know it's not in the book, but what if Rhaenyra had Kristen Cole's son? So we were just talking about that. It depends on how soon she gets married and has some kids. Know. So we'll have to put a pin in that. Let's see. Vanessa, did you guys notice the secret passageway Rey took to get in the city? Super blood and cheese vibes. Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. Those are Maegor's, passageways. And yeah, that would be how blood and cheese would be doing their thing later. And so that means Mysaria potentially could know about these passageways at some point. What are the scars? Okay, I just read that. Read that. I love Daemon. He reminds me of me and my brother. Yeah, they're doing a good job with the whole brother relationship. You definitely buy it. When they showed us that clip of Viserys holding the knife to Daemon and saying, "You're not a conqueror, you're a plague," we saw that in a preview a few weeks ago. And I didn't picture it as Daemon being so drunk that he couldn't move. I expected it to be like they're arguing and like they're tussling and he's throwing him down. Oh, it wasn't like that at all. Daemon is basically a mop, like a dirty mop on the floor, just... And Viserys is like kicking him and being like, "You motherfucker."
You fucked my daughter.
Yeah. It's interesting how that played out.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra was probably a little drunk too. So when we were talking about like how quickly she necessarily went along with what Damon was doing at first when they started getting to the sexy stuff. Like, she was buzzed. Not only was the whole thing very hypnotizing, but yeah, she would definitely have
The
been
whole
drinking.
experience, like,
Yeah.
whenever you have like those great nights as a teenager, you sneak out, you go on the freaking Ferris wheel. Like, you don't have to eat or drink anything, but you are drunk just on the experience. Like, she was excited because someone called her a boy. She's like, oh, they just called me a boy. They don't know who I am. Like, just that was already
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and stealing something and running away. Yeah, so you could see that longing for freedom. Yeah, very good. Cool. Well, let's take a last roundup for questions and thoughts, loose thoughts, anything that we didn't talk about, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We're over 2 hours here. Go ahead, Nettles.
well, I was just gonna say, since it was the narrow King of the Narrow Sea, I was wondering if you guys would indulge me in some Kill, Marry, Shag for the episode. I have one round.
I'm game.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, this is what this episode was about. So, Kill, Marry, Shag in chat. I want to hear your answers too. I only have a girl one. I don't have a boy one though. So, Kill, Marry, Shag, of age Allison, of age Rhaenyra, of age Massaria the White Worm.
Kristen
And
Cole.
you have to say why.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's only 3.
I can't just answer Kristen Cole and get out of it. Okay. Why, Minty, am I allowed to answer this? You got to tell me.
But it's all hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, this is the other you in another universe. Doctor Strange worked it out.
Well, I don't support violence against women, but I'd have to kill my Saria because you can't trust her.
Dang!
You can't.
So quick with it.
You'd have to be
Wow,
a fool.
We were just talking about, oh, my Saria rose up. What happened to all that?
I mean, well,
Rose
no,
up
from
in
her
the world.
perspective, yeah, but I wouldn't trust her. I would
Okay.
not. You can't. Yeah, she's just gonna sell you or something. I mean, yeah, it's real talk. So, but I don't support violence against women. So whatever. It's just the game.
Dead.
Um,
Massaria is dead. Okay.
Allison and Rhaenyra. Well, it's you have to separate the characters from the actresses, obviously.
Short term or long term?
I think you got to shag Rhaenyra and marry Allison. You'd be crazy to marry Rhaenyra. I mean,
I guess you never want to ride a literal dragon. Okay. Tim.
get eaten by a dragon more likely.
But you would ride a dragon for one night.
I just think if you marry Rhaenyra, you're going to get eaten by her dragon at some point.
Damn, you said the
They
exact.
don't
I mean,
deny
I actually was completely ready to go in the exact same order. You kill Mysaria, you shag Rhaenyra, and you marry Allison. Because like you shag Rhaenyra because she look. I've read the books. She ain't loyal. Like she's yeah.
Spoilers, Tim. Spoilers. Jesus, man.
You just got to be Harry Strong on that night.
Horrible. See, I kill Allison immediately, shag Massaria, and then I'll marry Rhaenyra.
Okay.
I'm always late. I need a dragon to take me places. I need the ride.
Well, we've established that you're crazy, Nettles, so that doesn't surprise me. Your answers. So for the guys, who do we have for the guys? So we've got obviously Kristen's one of them.
Okay.
Damon and young Blackwood.
Oh, yeah. I'll kill Kristen.
Oh no, we can't do that. That's wrong. It has to be of age characters. I'm so sorry.
If you say they're of age, they immediately become age.
Yeah, but he's too far away. He's too far away. Rhaenyra is actually 18 in this episode. Who's our third? Lord Baratheon.
Oh, Baratheon?
Yeah,
Okay.
Lord Baratheon. Is that Boros?
Okay, I'll shag Baratheon.
Okay.
And of course I'll marry Damon because I need the dragon, I need the ride. And then yeah, I kill Kristen Cole.
So you're
I can't
killing
do anything
Kristen
with
Cole.
that.
Yeah, I mean Kristen Cole is probably trouble, so. Oh. All right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I guess I could have thrown Harwin in there, but he would essentially be the same as a Baratheon. So, He's
Yeah.
got pretty major Baratheon energy. So
Strong.
all
Yeah,
right.
sorry about that. I
So
had to.
that's what I get for last call for questions. So chat, last call from the chat for questions or segment ideas. Yeah, whatever you got. That's fine.
I just want one thing I want to point out was when they go to that play like down in Flea Bottom, I'm assuming, and how all the actors were male. I do like that little bit, like how it was. It seemed like they were playing it like an actual Shakespearean play. All the actors are male. The type of makeup they were wearing, like the white clownish makeup and the foppy attitude and all that.
Which is, of course, kind of where Monty Python is doing when they get all that.
Yeah, it was like very Monty Python.
Yeah, I was thinking of Monty Python. Yeah.
There's actually a few Shakespeare companies that do it exactly like Shakespeare did it, where it's all male companies and they try to like do Romeo and Juliet and all these shows.
Oh, I'm sure it's fucking hilarious. Yeah, yeah. So, just quick shout out to the bronze bitch. There was he said bronze bitch in Valerian. So if we go back, we can decode which Valerian potentially means bronze bitch. So that's potentially out there for someone to figure out. And
Someone's already figured it out.
I'm sure.
And wishing death on her. Dang. Next episode. Guess who gonna die? Next episode. The bronze bitch. Watch.
Yeah. Well, we got to see her. She's been cast, so
yeah,
I'd like to at least.
We
see
haven't
her.
even gone to Greenstone yet. Like, are we even going to see the veil? I guess we have to.
Oh, she has been cast? Maybe they'll just show her with the things on her eyes. And then Damon goes there and he's like, "Can I get some money?" And they're like, "No, you can't get anything."
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, guys, I think we can go ahead and wrap up the stream here. You've been a beautiful audience. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to my two co-hosts here, Girl Nuddles and Grey Waste Tim. Their channels are linked below in the description, and you can find them by putting their names, Grey Waste Tim and Girl Nuddles. Grey Waste Nuddles and Girl Tim. It's right in the YouTube box. Just type it in. It's very easy. Nobody could get confused about that. And yeah.
Chat with us on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm at the Dragon LML on Twitter. Guys, give your handles.
Yeah. Also the Girl Nettles on Twitter.
I'm at the Grey Waste, but you can also just search Grey Waste Tim there. You'll find me.
Easy to find. Use the same name. Let that be a lesson to you, aspiring YouTubers and social media influencers. Use the same name. Yeah. All right.
Come to my Twitter. It's mostly just going to be pictures of my pets. So.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you Wednesday with the symbolism breakdown, as I have basically started doing every week. And we'll see you back next Sunday night for another post-game show. Toodaloo. See you real soon.